What is up, everybody? Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. I'm your host, Matthew McKim. Hope you guys had a good day. Also, hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's sit down with John Aaron Bray. I thought it was very fruitful, and it was good, as always, to have him on. Also pretty cool. The show we did a couple days ago where my wife had found that video of Charlie Kirk saying that he paid no mind at all to crazy leftists, like not at all. He was not afraid of crazy leftists wanting to harm him or kill him, right? And that's the whole narrative that Erika and like Frank and those around Charlie and TPUSA say that was the whole purpose for the priest being called to the house the night before, was to pray over Charlie because he was concerned about a hex or a spell that these people purchased on Pinterest. So, that's crazy. And then we know that he was being pressured by all the donors, but also, and I saw someone's post that it wasn't Erika or pastors controlling Charlie. It was Philly. No, yes, Philly's involved 100%. But who has proximity to Charlie? Okay. Who's going to be able to exert subverted pressure on Charlie? Daily pressure, all of those around him. Okay. People that are in his ear, people like Lori Cardozo-Moore, Erika Kirk, Andrew Colvett, Mikey McCoy, Rob McCoy, Jack Hibbs, Frank Turek, James Kaddis. These people that present themselves as Christians, you can just go and watch them. More than being a Christian, their number one thing, which I can't, like, at this point in the game, if you defend Philly, the right to do what they're doing to women and children is insane. The type of government and the people that are running Philly, and you're defending them after what we know what they did to Charlie, it was a concern. All these people have a united goal in mind. It's not America first. It's not Christianity. It is defending and upholding Zionism and Philly, the Philadelphian government, and any wars and their influence here, their influence in Christianity. BB and the Foreign Ministry of Philly wanted to use Charlie and TPUSA to infiltrate Christianity in the United States. Charlie said no. I think it's interesting that TPUSA faith really, really took off after Charlie was assassinated. Yes, it was around, I know, but the Make Heaven Crowded event tour where she's partnered, they're all Zionists. All the pastors, all the churches she goes to, they're all Zionists. They care more about Philly and defending Philly and Philly, the right to exist. Blah, blah, blah. It's such a freaking ridiculous argument. That's not even what Charlie argued, what Candace argued, what Tucker, we're not arguing someone's right to exist, okay? I mean, that's a whole nother stupid argument, like country's right to exist. Okay, we're talking about all the crazy, corrupt, and evil things that they're doing, and they're making us do, and we're doing on behalf of them. They're going to use people close to Charlie that had influence and sway over Charlie, people that had Charlie's phone number, Charlie's, they had the ability to reach out continually, directly to Charlie. They're going to use people like that where they have this united goal of being pro-Philly to the end and use them to influence Charlie. Yes, they're going to do it themselves too. They're going to do it through the donors. BB's going to do it, right, through money, right? They're going to take money. They're going to threaten to take more money. BB's going to offer money. Who knows what other threats were coming through, because Charlie did say the night before, I think they're going to kill me. And he wasn't talking about a crazy leftist. We saw that video that I played that my wife found. He wasn't afraid of leftists. That was like a Tuesday to him. Crazy leftists threatening him. He's like, no. The people that concerned him the most were people on his inner circle, either former or current inner circle, people that deceived him, betrayed him, or people that would compromise their integrity, or people that had told him, you can't, you won't. There's no way you're going to be able to do what you're wanting to do if you keep doing what you're doing and saying what you're saying. Those are the people that concerned him the most. And that includes Philly, but that also includes everyone that's left at TPUSA. That's like the higher ups that, you know, all the evil people that we know, including Erika. And then all of these Calvary Chapel pastors. I got a lot of good videos tonight. It's going to be, we're going to lay out the case, okay, that the same people that are attacking Candace, attacking Tucker, are the same people that were pressuring Charlie. So they weren't doing it the way they're doing it to Candace, right? And Tucker, okay? They were clearly like, wait till you see how these people feel and speak about like Candace and Tucker, and then know that Charlie was saying the same things. And so what would they be doing in their private communications and interactions with Charlie? They're going to use the tactic that Candace is going to tell you right now. I'm going to start out with a video with Dave Smith and Candace Owens. And then we're going to look at James Kaddis and how he felt about Candace when Charlie was still alive, regarding Dennis Prager. And wait till you hear the things he says. And then we got videos of Erika. We got some old videos of Charlie. It's going to be a good show. Okay. But we're going to go for a little bit of a ride as we build this, that I really do believe that all these people that have been lying about Charlie's legacy, lying about Charlie, upselling, overselling Erika Kirk to us, that it was Erika that really made TPUSA what it is. Erika's the best. Erika's so great. She made Charlie what he is. These people that were around Charlie, and we know Candace said that Charlie, was done with these guys. He wanted nothing more to do with them. That makes sense. He wanted to be done with Calvary Chapel churches and all of these mocking pastors. And I think that's why 100% he was moving over to Catholicism, because they're by the core anti-Zionism. Okay. You're going to be free from any of the people that are trying to promote Philly and trying to control the United States political environment through money and blackmail. He was wise to it. He was learning about Jeffy Epi and what they were doing. You know what I mean? So like, hey, always be true. Let me read this real quick. Thank you so much for your super chat always. And as you guys, because we're going to do a couple, things tonight and different videos. If you guys have something you want to say about that part of the show, get the super in. I'll get it. I'll get to it right away. Did you see Andrew Colvette's ridiculous post saying Charlie was afraid of the left? Yeah. Did you not see what I did? Afraid of the left. Someone please respond with the H. Smith clip and the clip from the 10X conference. No, let me just show you. I did. And you should boost it. All right. Like we can go there real quick. All right. Let's see. Let me exit out of this real quick. Let me go to my profile. I think it's the top. Well, it's not the top one. So Matthew Tusseroni also posted it. Okay, here we go. Let me go here. Let me pause this. All righty. Oh, I got to share the screen. Share the screen. All right. Oh, wait, I got to actually read the post. All right. Let me put it on the screen. Oh, it's going to start talking if I don't hit that button. All right. Hold on. Here we go. No, I took it away. There it is. All right. Let me go here. So this Andrew, here we go. So Andrew Colvette replying to real Candace Owens, because she called it, Candace Owens called Andrew Colvette out about like who was Charlie really talking about in that text the night before his assassination that he was afraid of killing him. And Andrew's like, he said leftists were going to try and kill him. He said this many times. Well, no, we read the text. It just said they. Okay. Everything else has been inferred, but like we need to use context clues of everything that was going on in Charlie's life, everything else that Charlie said, right? And what was happening right before he sent that text, which was this forced, Zoom meeting with Rabbi Wolicki and Josh Hammer and Andrew Colvett and Frank Turek and Mikey McCoy and Blake Neff. I wonder what they were saying. I wonder, right? And so I said, riddle me this, Andrew Colvett, and try not to lie, even though it comes so easy and naturally for you. Who was Charlie Kirk really concerned about? And then why not? Let's hear Charlie say it himself.
We get death threats almost every day. That's part of the game of the space that I'm in.
Yep.
The other type of haters, though, are the ones that are the close proximity ones.
Really?
These are the ones I know that had some sort of relationship with me and either betrayed me or deceived me or said that I could not succeed. That is a whole different, those actually get my attention.
Yeah.
Just like the random troubled person on a campus.
No.
Whatever.
Whatever. The random troubled person on campus, whatever. The only reason why I played that clip, because it just was in my, I had it saved. So I didn't mean to play me playing the clip. It just is, it's already bookmarked and it's like timestamped right to where it is. Thank you to Faith Driver, who's an awesome community member over on X. If you don't know who she is and you're on X, go follow Truth Finder. All right, let me pull up. But yeah, I called him out. Oh, I need to turn this back down. Sorry. All right, let's start over here. All righty. Hopefully I answered that. Always be true. Let's check it real quick. Yeah. Yeah, and I did another post too, actually, before that, calling out Andrew and Erika. Where's that one? Wait, I think I need to go back. And then it's just here where I said, I'm not sharing it, but here. There we go. Where I said, Erika Kirk and Andrew Colvett need to answer two major questions. First, why did they both push the story that a priest came over? Let me pause this. It's going to keep playing at the bottom. That a priest came over the night before to pray over Charlie because he supposedly feared crazy leftists had put a Pinterest hexer spell on him. Second, why did they both say that the text Charlie sent out the night before his assassination was that he was afraid of crazy leftists, or that he was afraid crazy leftists were going to kill him? Charlie himself said something very different at the 10X conference, March 25th. And I tagged them all too. And Candace, right? He said he wasn't worried about these crazy leftists at all. He said the people who concerned him most were those closest to him, people who'd betrayed him, deceived him, or compromised their integrity. And that is the truth. All right. This is where we're going to start. Dave Smith and Candace Owens. Oh, let me lay this out. I think Candace is so smart and strategic. She's going on a media blitz right now. Okay. Sean Ryan is probably going to release this Saturday, Friday or Saturday on Patreon, and we're going to watch it together, you guys. It's going to be great. I'll get the parts that mainly talk about like Philly, Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk, and all that. I'm sure it's probably going to be a 2-3 hour long. Oh my goodness. What the heck? Knock it off, bro. What? Oh, I'm not even going to deal with this right now. I can't even go there right now. All right. I'll deal with it when I play a video. Candace Owens is really strategic she's front loading something. Okay. She's going on this tour and getting out information on big channels because guess what's coming in a week? The Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. Okay. And I think it's great that she's doing it. And it's very smart. It's going to increase her reach. And more people are going to hear what she has to say. And so we're going to start here with Dave Smith and Candace Owens. All right. Dave Smith is great, by the way. He destroyed Josh Hammer. He's going to talk about it.
Well, yesterday was a fantastic day. I mean, to get the email from Podscribe, #1 podcast in the world, and I don't. Of course, I am humbled by it truly, because the audience is the reason. Like, this truly was a free market response. And to go back and find the people who worked day in and day out to ruin my life. It wasn't like they just wanted me gone from the Daily Wire, which they got and they celebrated and effectively danced on my grave. It wasn't, they then were trying to get my speaking events canceled. They were the ones that put pressure on Charlie not to let me speak. And I said to him, dude, I got enough going on. Like, I don't want you to also just by proxy catch a flame because they want to cancel me. They got me banned from Australia. I had to cancel a tour, right? Simply because I didn't agree with Israel. That you would think that I harmed somebody by having a different opinion. And I think the reason why yesterday was such a win was precisely because they worked so hard and tried to destroy me, and we survived. That's where their true hatred and vitriol is coming from, is the fact that we survived a virtual assassination attempt, right? It's like we shouldn't have survived it, given everything they did. And even the element of how they wanted me to be fired, like the element of surprise for Tucker to be fired. He's doing a show on a Tuesday, suddenly on a Wednesday, he doesn't get to say goodbye to his audiences. I really do believe even that was a part of their sadistic effort to be like, you are no more. And so, yeah, it feels good. And I'm really happy to say all I did was commit to the truth, and I didn't allow peer pressure to come to something that's actually evil.
I agree. And so to point out something real quick, we're going to keep listening to it. At that time, people, and we can listen to Charlie as well. We'll listen to Charlie. Was Charlie ever talking bad about Candace? Ever? No. Nope. Okay. And when they said that he couldn't have Candace on, he's like, fine. I'm going to have Tucker and Megan, and I'm going to have Dave Smith destroy Josh Hammer. Fine. Fine. I'll play your game right now. And she'll say that he was very strategic. And then he was like, in the end too, like, I'll have them both at AmFest. Yeah. And then whoever it was on that text was like, I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe in the short term, it looks like a good idea, but the long term, that's not a good idea, Charlie. Probably Andrew Colvett or Josh Hammer or, Rabbi Wolicki. But Charlie never stopped being friends or said anything negative about Candace Owens. But this one pastor, and I know that also Jack Hibbs, Rob McCoy, and I got to pull up that clip too of Rob McCoy on Candace's show. I forgot. It's from the other day because they scrubbed it. It's not there anymore, but it's on Candace's show still, so I'll pull that up. We're talking bad about Candace while Charlie was still alive. Okay. That's what's insane. Like, let's see, we'll go here and, we'll start right here. This is James Kaddis attacking Candace Owens while Charlie's still alive, while he's on the board of Proclaim Streetwear, and Bible in 365, and doing podcasts with Erika Kirk. Okay. Charlie Kirk was very aware of the fallout that happened with Candace Owens and Dennis Prager and PragerU. Did Charlie ever attack Candace for that? No. Look who did, though. Looky.
Candace Owens just showed the...
Oh my gosh, that's so loud. Hold on. And it's important because this guy's such a clickbaiter.
...world her true colors. And folks, those colors are dark and ugly. All right, folks, we have to get into this one. Now, I want to just say a couple of things before we go over this content. Number one, I'm not choosing to talk about or highlight Candace Owens just simply to create an entertaining video or to create some talking points that I can't come up with. Folks, I can tell you the biggest problem that I have when it comes to making YouTube videos isn't what content I have or what kind of content I'm going to come up with. It's always, what am I going to pick from? There is so much to do.
Why are all these guys So full of themselves. Oh my gosh. I don't have any trouble coming up with any content. My trouble is coming up with what I'm going to do. Freaking A. Okay. And he's like, I'm not going to talk smack about Candace Owens, but I'm just going to devote the next hour to talking smack about Candace Owens. Every time in history when someone says, okay, I don't mean to talk smack, and then they finish and then they start saying something else, yeah, they're about to talk smack. That's what it is.
And for every one story or one discussion that comes up on one of these videos, there's probably 100 more that I can do.
So
and I promise you, when I say I have endless material,
I bet.
So what I have to do, and what becomes the most difficult part of what I have to do, is I have to pick things that I think become the most relevant for discussion, that will be fruitful and beneficial for the people that listen.
Fruitful and beneficial to the people of the church, the body of Christ. It's the same thing with Rob McCoy getting up on a freaking Sunday in front of his congregation, or he was a guest speaker somewhere in Vegas, I think, when he most recently trashed Candace, but he does it on his own pulpit all the time. Okay. He thinks, okay, all of these guys, Greg Laurie, Jack Hibbs, Rob McCoy, Frank Turek, James Kaddis, they think attacking Candace Owens is fruitful and beneficial to the body of Christ. Let that sink in. Not scripture. Not scripture. Attacking Candace. That's fruitful for the body of Christ and beneficial. That's edifying. Okay. And who is like this with all of these guys? Erika Kirk. You wonder why? Erika, when she's like one-on-one with Charlie and one-on-two with Charlie and Tucker, is like, I don't like Philly. I'm so anti-Philly, anti-Philly. And then she goes and is very pro-Philly when Charlie's not around. That's weird. I wonder who is close with who. Well, it's really not a question. Like, the answer's out there. You just watch her and look at all the people she's associated with. It's clear as day, obvious. Let's juxtapose this real quick and look at what Charlie was saying about Candace Owens up into the very end. Up into the very, very end. Okay. Let's go here. Let me get the right one. Boom. Okay.
I love the quote from George Patton. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. When I first met Candace Owens, I said, I'm getting out of the way and I will follow you. She's a superstar. Candace Owens is without a doubt one of the most important, impactful voices in the conservative movement. Candace Owens started Blexit, and Blexit is now a part of Turning Point USA. Blexit is the largest Black outreach program in the conservative movement, going into the inner cities and reaching out for conservative values on a daily basis. And I believe many of you share my disgust for how the American left has been dominating the Black community over the last 50 years.
So we know how he feels about Candace there. Let's go to the next one.
Agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do?
Hold on. See, each clip is a little bit louder. Let me turn this down. Sorry. This is right up into the end. So August 21st, 2025, 20 days before his assassination, Charlie Kirk's thoughts on Candace Owens.
She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Look, I have different views on things as Candace. I have different views on Israel than Candace. I have different views on a lot of geopolitics. But honestly, I traveled the country with Candace. I went to her wedding. I saw her meet her husband. I went to Israel with Candace, which is a fun story I'll tell you at some point. But what I don't like is when people demand, you must stop being friends with somebody. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a left-wing tactic Don't do that. I'm not saying you do that, but other people do that. We should never resort to that. In fact, if you believe what I believe, shouldn't you want me to be friends with people that don't agree with us? Shouldn't you want me to also be a tool of influence? And so I think the world of Candace. She's a great mother. She certainly has very, very fun opinions at times. And she's a great talent. She says a lot of stuff that sometimes I don't agree with, but that's what makes our relationship and our friendship interesting. My advice to all of you, you might not like somebody, but never tell somebody like me to stop being friends with somebody on an interpersonal level just because of disagreement. It's bad. It's what the left does, and we should rise above it as conservatives. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen. So now let's go back here. And what was James Kaddis saying about Candace? I wonder if Charlie knew what this guy was doing behind the scenes. Okay. I wonder if he knew. I gave it a thumbs up, you guys. I have to. If I give it a thumb down or I don't give it a thumb up, it doesn't give me new videos to find of them. I don't like his video. Okay. At all.
Listen and watch. And sometimes that forces me to address things that, quite frankly, I don't really want to address.
Yeah, right.
And the reason why I say this is because as much as I have admired Candace Owens for specific things in the past, I find myself in a place where I look at her and I recognize the fact that she is simply reprehensible. Her behavior has been nothing short of absolutely demonically inspired. And the things that she comes up with, in my opinion, aren't just simple, I'm making a mistake because I genuinely feel this way. I actually think she's being legitimately dishonest. I think that she is almost grifting in a way because she's looking for some form of relevancy based on a disagreement that sparked off with her and Ben Shapiro, maybe. I don't know.
So he'll defend Ben Shapiro over Candace Owens. What side is he on, ladies and gentlemen? That's all of these Calvary Chapel pastors. Okay? That's who they are. These people, were for sure exerting pressure on Charlie. No questions about it.
But what I do know is the things that she has said since are absolutely horrible. I can give you one very grim example of this before we get into this, because this video that you're going to watch is me, in essence, reading a letter that Dennis Prager wrote to Candace that Candace would not respond to. And I think it's a really important letter for us to go over together. And you're going to be blown away with what we're going to do here. But
no, we're not going to be blown away with what you do here. It's what you don't do. We'll come back to that. Let's let the principal and the queen of a podcast say it herself.
We're not even, it's like, do you agree that Palestinians should be genocided? No. Okay, well, then you're going to be canceled. You're never going to be on a Republican stage ever again. Okay, bye. I'll just do my own show. Okay, you're not going to be allowed to speak at the CPAC or the RNC. You're not going to get an invite to the White House. Okay, bye. I'd like to keep my morals and my principles in line. If I never get to go to Mar-a-Lago again, at least I can lay my head in the pillow and know that I'm not cheering for children to die, irrespective of whether they're Palestinian or Israeli. I'm not going to root on children dying. And so I think also something that's important to remember, Dave, is these people do not believe in the free markets. That's the number one thing to remember. They want people to be artificially pushed out of the free markets so that they can say they're number one. They love a world where, like what happened back, what was it, in 2020, when people were getting knocked off of platforms left and right. Maybe it was earlier than that, actually. It was before Trump was president. They love that world where you're artificially kicking out the Gateway pundit. You're not allowed to be on Facebook anymore. You're artificially kicking out Alex Jones. You're not allowed to have a platform. And then they go, we're number one. We are the number one most listened to conservative news podcaster. It's like, no, you're not. There's no market here. And that's what they want right now. They want their markets to be restricted so that they can be number one again.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's right. And because in a way, if they make, look, if the punishment, let's say like for whatever, like it was in the old guard where like, if you canceled someone, that was it. There wasn't like another, they couldn't just go start their own podcast or something. Like when Bill O'Reilly got fired from Fox News, I mean, I guess he did go start a podcast, but even back then it was like, it just wasn't as big of a market. And also are
we at the 6:52 mark? I need to go to the next timestamp. He talks about this for a minute. 9:35.
I was working for Prager, Daily Wire. I was working with Zionists. I obviously had no hatred in my heart towards the Zionist cause. And then it was just asking the question. Like I was messaging with Max Blumenthal because, strange allies, right? And he has done some really incredible work. And I went back and I found these messages from a time where I simply retweeted Max Blumenthal on something that he said about Kyrie Irving that I agreed on. So it wasn't even about Israel. And I got messages, like all I can tell you is like Agent Smith. I sent it to him. It's crazy. Like Marissa Strait, Dave Rubin. And I actually apologized to them because I was like, wow, this guy must literally be Hitler. Like I didn't know. I just saw it trending and I retweet him. That's what kind of goes on behind the scenes. Like they are actually presenting themselves as free speech thinkers. And then they put pressure on people and tell them, hey, even listening or retweeting Max Blumenthal, you may not know it. And they told me this. He's an anti-Semite. Like he's a committed anti-Semite. Max Blumenthal. Yeah. Like, so it's a different time now. And that sort of, we're going to tell you what to think and you're going to like it is not like people aren't buying it anymore. No,
that's right. And I think there's a lot that's just been revealed. And there was a lot of things about like, even, the conservatism Inc. online type people like Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro and even Steven Crowder and like a lot of guys like this who really rose to prominence during the craziest woke years. They were kind of the figures who were speaking up against the insanity, like being like, no, actually you're a dude in a dress, you're not a chick. And that was necessary to some degree. It was pretty crazy what was going on in college campuses, and the whole left-wing wokeism stuff in general was crazy. But because that was the dynamic, and because, for whatever reason, while tons of other right-wingers were being deplatformed, those were the ones who weren't, and in fact were very pushed by the YouTube algorithm and stuff. I mean, I remember for years, I always hated Ben Shapiro, and for years YouTube was like, I know you want to watch Ben Shapiro, and I was like, I do not. I've never told you that, YouTube, but YouTube kept insisting I did. I was aware.
You do. Yeah, you do.
Well, I was aware of this because, as I've been talking about lately, because I was a Ron Paul supporter back in the day. And I remember.
All right. I liked that part. Let me jump to the next part. He goes for a little bit and then it's at like 15. We'll start here. I don't want to miss Candace speaking.
That can't pretend they're not seeing what they're watching.
It's so true. That is how gentle it was. I had seen it was a dead Palestinian child, and she looked like my daughter. And I was going, well, this is crazy. Like, this is not just a black and white issue. I need to actually learn about this issue. And as soon as you express a feeling, I describe it very much. It is a psychological operation that is meant to break you. And there's no question in my mind that they have done experiments to see. I mean, this is really going back to what Kanye was saying, and he's not the greatest orator of our time, but this is what he was describing was happening to him in Hollywood, where he was this is what he was trying to break free from. And of course, he notoriously says, I'm about to go DEFCON 3 on some Jews. And they made it seem like he had tanks and he was going to come in and he was going to start just lighting up Jews in Los Angeles. But in reality, everyone ignored the fact that Harley Pasternak was, and this was one of the people he was referring to. He was also referring to at that time Scooter Braun. Justin Bieber has now kind of said things about Scooter Braun. Who knows what's true and what's not? I mean, I've had friendly conversations with Scooter, so I don't have a horse in the race. But the point is he was trying to say that there is this psychological operation that sweeps in if you do not actually peddle certain talking points or certain perspectives, particularly in Hollywood. I didn't understand what he was saying at that time. Then I went through it politically and I was going, what is actually happening? I mean, the peer pressure, you're going to do this or you're going to lose everything. We saw that even in Charlie Kirk's text messages. There is not a single person that bent over more for the pro-Israel cause than Charlie Kirk, but it wasn't enough because they were so angry, Dave, particularly Josh Hammer was angry, Dave, that
I'm going to keep listening to this. We're not done here. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Always be true. Thank you so much. I wonder what funny ideas of Candace Charlie disagreed with. The clip of Charlie praising Candace for being a great mother is gold. I know. Yeah. We're also going to look at a clip of Erika Kirk, not right now, but to show, and of Charlie, to show the level of control he was under. Okay. He had to get permission to tweet. He didn't even have the passcode to tweet himself. He would have to ask the group, hey, I want to tweet about this. And like, they could just shut him down. No. And then he was able one time to break free of that, and he got the code and then was able to tweet his tweet. Okay. And then we're going to look at a clip of Erika where she outlines pretty much this very covert way of selling things to Charlie as holistic and good for him. Like, I wonder where adhering to the Sabbath came from, if that was from her or not. But like taking away like actual like Wi-Fi, they had to hard plug in, right? Like a phone line. They took phones away from him. They in order to access the internet at the house, that he had to like plug in like old school. He couldn't just like log in to the Wi-Fi. Okay. Like, she set things up to control and isolate him. She'll sell it as like, oh, I'm doing this to make your life more free and better. And, you know, so your home can be your paradise and your relaxation point. It also was so that she could control him. All right. Hands down. We'll look at that in a bit. It's nuts. But let's continue to listen to Candace.
You annihilated him in a debate on stage. And how did you annihilate him? I don't know, just by being a human being. I don't know, like, and Tucker Carlson gets out there, and Charlie was going through it. Okay. And that shows you they do not care. Everything instantly gets wiped. And for me, the attack they always do is they kind of try to make it seem like you're going crazy.
Okay.
That's the wildest part to me.
Okay. Listen to this, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to pause it. I want to let you guys know everything that Candace is going to explain. Think, is this possible for them to be doing the same thing to Charlie? 100% yes. 100% yes. Everything that she's going to explain that she went through, Charlie was going through himself. Hands down. Hands down.
Is reading back the messages, and they're like, oh, like, you know, like, we're your friend. They always come at you as a friend. Like, I care about you. Like, are you okay, Dave? I saw you wrote that tweet about, like, you know, that Palestinian child, and you said it looks sad. Like, are you okay? Like, is your marriage okay right now, Dave? Like, are there some things going on at home, Dave? Like, I'm your friend. Like, you know, you can always call me. This is their strategy behind the scenes, and it's also their strategy in front of the scenes. I think Seth Dillon is a literal demon. I will never, like, I can't explain to you, like, there's something very dangerous, like, psychologically wrong with him.
I agree.
This is how they behave. And it's important for people to see that. I'm obviously, at the time, it wasn't fun to go through it, but I am ever resilient on topics when it comes to principles. And I would rather burn everything to the ground and make new friends when I realize that I am in a toxic relationship, whether that's an employment, whether it's a personal friendship, it has to go. And people now know that it can be done. You can survive it, and people will be with you. Even if it's not immediately, they'll start to wake up and see that repeated pattern that you always talk about, where someone says something completely normal, and then it's like a button gets pressed.
The same thing. So think about what she said about these people messaging her like, are you okay? Imagine, like, Charlie, are you okay? Is your marriage okay? Imagine if they had the spouse on their side. They could be messaging Erika to be doing the same thing. Charlie, are you okay? I see what you're saying and doing out there. Is something wrong? Imagine the level of psyop that they could exert on Charlie when Rob McCoy, Mikey McCoy, Blake Neff, Andrew Colvett, Erika Kirk, and all of these Calvary Chapel pastors could all be doing this from different angles. And then the donors from further out. Okay. And then Josh Hammer, Ben Shapiro, Seth Dillon, Rabbi Walicki, all these people that were willing to help and support Charlie as long as he obeyed. But the moment that he didn't, they were going to do the same tactic on Charlie. He talked about it. We see Lori Cardoza Moore. We can look at how she spoke to Charlie. Okay. I got that pulled up. We know that Charlie himself said that these people were doing it. Okay. Let's continue.
Yeah. And just all of that, like, as
actually, I wanted to start here because Dennis Prager, okay, who Candace used to work for, and Charlie used. So look, people evolve over time. If Charlie found out that these relationships were fake and one-sided and toxic, he said it many times. He's just like Candace Owens and Tucker and Megan. You're not going to tell me who to be friends with. You're not going to tell me what to think. You're not going to tell me what to say. And once he realized that the people that were trying to do that to him, he realized, you're a snake in the freaking grass. I'm going to cut the grass and find out how many of you are in here. Candace says that line in a little bit. It was really good. Charlie was probably doing the exact same thing, trying to find out how many. I bet he was like, you too? Oh my gosh, you, like all of them. Nuts. All right, let's go here real quick. And I guarantee you, Charlie's position and opinion evolved on like Dennis Prager and all these people. And yeah, James Kaddis, Jack Hibbs, all of these guys.
But I want to point this out to you so you can understand how bad things have become. On the day of this recording, which of course is October the 1st, we saw the largest.
Oh my gosh, she's going to talk about the largest ballistic missiles ever. Okay.
Candace Owens puts up this post. What Bibi wants, Bibi gets. War with Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, and now Iran. American sons and daughters will die because our politicians are blackmailed and feckless.
What's wrong with that post, you guys? Can you guys tell me what is actually false about that post? Nothing. Not one thing. Charlie felt the same way. Okay? We're going to listen to Tucker. He just did a podcast with this young dude where he made it very clear. Charlie is the reason why the 12-day war was just a 12-day war, not a full-on war with Iran. Bibi and the neocons and the Zionists were on the other side. And anyone trying to say that that's not true is just lying or ignorant. Okay? Charlie was on to this exact same thing that Candace just pointed out. And here we have these people that are surrounding him, attacking Candace for making a post that's honestly 100% fact. Is crazy. You wonder if these guys were texting Charlie, messaging Charlie. Yeah, they were. He went off script.
I don't even like reading the nonsense that Candace is putting out here.
That's nuts.
But this goes to show how incredibly just diseased her way of thinking has become. Now, as I understand it, Dennis has had a very difficult time with the things that he has watched Candace Owens do because they have always had a close relationship. I have had some disagreements with Dennis Prager.
Yeah, right.
Specifically on one of his views on a particular issue that I went over. I made an appeal to him on a video. I think that he is an admirable man. I really love and appreciate the man. I think he's done more for a lot of people than you can possibly imagine. He is definitely, in my opinion, a treasure to this world.
Oh my gosh.
And I really appreciate how Dennis handled this situation, which is why I'm going to read this letter. But before I do, I want you to see exactly what we're dealing with here. Dennis Prager wrote a letter to Candace Owens begging her to turn from the ways that she is going with respect to these claims that she's been making.
What did Candace just say was their tactic that they used on Kanye West and that they then deployed on her? Okay. That the people that had relationships prior and long relationships, good relationships in the past with these people, they would have these people reach out and be like, we're concerned. Oh my gosh. Candace, Charlie, I'm reaching out because I'm a friend. Honestly, I'm just concerned about you. What are you saying? What are you doing? Why would you say these things? Are you an anti-Semite? These are anti-Semitic things. Oh my God. And then they would just use this tactic and wait till you see. So freaking James Kaddis, this whole time, he'll read like Dennis's part of the letter and be like, oh my gosh, Dennis is so great. Oh, I totally agree with him. He's just the best. Oh, 100%. And then he'll like read what Candace says. Oh, so evil, demonic. Oh my gosh. This is James. This is Rob, Frank, Greg Laurie, Jack Hibbs. These people were doing the same thing to Charlie. No doubt. No doubt. Oh, these guys.
And she, in essence, has been ignoring him. Let me read what Dennis writes here. And then what I'm going to do is very unique. I'm going to do something that I probably have never done before on a single video. And I'm going to read a 15-page letter through and through.
You're not going to listen to the whole thing. Don't worry about it.
And what we're actually going to do when I read that letter is at some point, my editor is going to stop me.
Okay. You didn't even need to say all that. Let's just get into it, right? Oh, he attacks her for being friends with Andrew Tate.
Being heavily influenced by her close relationship or her husband's close relationship with Andrew Tate. I also think there's a lot of other things that are kind of contributing to what she's doing here. I'm not going to get into all the ins and the outs of the other reasons why she's being so heavily influenced by all this stuff, but there's a lot of very serious and very connected dots that you should all be aware of. But suffice it to say, let's just talk about how Dennis addresses this, because the other thing that I hope to do as well, besides demonstrate how far somebody can go if simply given two lies, I also want to demonstrate what the truth is concerning the false claims and allegations that Candace has been making. And Dennis's articulation of these issues is quite remarkable. So this is what Dennis says as he speaks about sort of what crept up or what led up to this. Okay. He says this. He says, on September the 4th, 2024, I sent this letter to Candace Owens regarding many comments she has made about Jews, Zionism, and Israel. I've known Candace for about as long as she has been in public life. Yeah. She began her podcasting at PragerU in 2019 and left in 2021. She left on very good terms. To this day, she often speaks of her respect and love for Marissa Straight. That's the CEO of PragerU, which, by the way, Marissa is, she is such a sweetheart. I have the privilege of calling her a friend. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. I've been able to spend some time talking to her. I absolutely love her. And I love her team. They're really, really wonderful people. And her history, by the way, is remarkable.
Yeah.
I mean, she has served her country in Israel and in America.
Oh, so she she was an IDF soldier? Oh, and an American soldier or military. So she's dual, but she's going to go fight in another country for another country's army for another country and then come back. What did Tucker say about that? We should strip them of their citizenship. Can't have dual loyalties. I know God said it and Christ said it in a different stance, but you can't serve two masters. You just can't. Okay. In the end, what happens if those two countries get in a fight? What side are you going to pick, Marissa? I wonder what side you're going to pick.
She's just an amazing lady. Anyway, and of course, Dennis says that she has, not Marissa, but Candace has also spoke very highly of him. Within hours of receiving my letter, Candace replied, and this is her quote, "I deeply appreciate this email, and I will respond to it thoroughly. Please know that I respect you tremendously, and it is difficult for me to reconcile how I feel about you and Marissa and the amazing way in which I was treated by you both and my new feelings and understanding about Zionism. Please give me a bit of time to respond to all of your points. You can always reach out to me, and no matter which side of this or any political debate we wind up on, my love and respect for you and Marissa and your treatment of me will never be swayed."
Nothing wrong with that statement, right? And so really, here's the thing, right? She's questioning Zionism and the government's actions of Philly, the government of Philly's actions. What's wrong with that? So now they're gonna manipulate Candace and using their longstanding relationship and slowly call her an anti-Semite when she's like, that's not what I'm doing. And it never is. They did the same thing to Megan and Charlie. Go watch the video of Megan and Charlie together. The exact same pressure that all of these tactics got focused on Tucker and Candace and Charlie and Megan. Here's the thing, though. Who was the biggest up until 2020, 4, 5, pro-Philadelphian Christian conservative with a big audience and a big voice, Charlie Kirk, if he was allowed to continue to leave and be vocal of why and what he felt and what he believed, it would have brought credibility even more so. Like, how could they, like, they were trying to attack Charlie and calling him an anti-Semite, and it just didn't work because we all knew that he wasn't. But they could get away with it with Tucker and Candace and Megan, you know, and people believe it. But I don't know anyone that believed that Charlie was. And if he was allowed to go any further, holy smokes, it would have been the end of it all. And you know that was one of the main reasons they took him out, because how quickly they shifted and shaped the narrative that Charlie was a forever defender of Philly and BB and Zionism. And they had to get out there. They had to get it out there right away. Don't worry, we had Candace. Thank goodness we had Candace. Let's get back to Candace.
When I was saying
Wait, so he goes into it. What number are we at? 17. All right, yeah.
2017 or 2018 or something like that. The energy that Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson were able to kind of take hold of was that they were the ones saying, like, you guys are afraid to debate. You guys need to rely on censorship. You have to rely on demonizing your opponent rather than just addressing their ideas. Mm-hmm. And now they just can never say that again, because we saw what happened as soon as their ideas got questioned, and then they all turned into the exact same thing. And that's just, the hypocrisy like that is very hard these days in this media environment, in this spiritual environment, whatever exactly it is. It's just very hard for people to keep their own lies from being exposed.
Yeah.
Right.
So I wanted to, obviously I want to talk a bunch about Charlie and because you've been doing a lot of shows on this. And so it seems to me, and a lot of shows that, shows that have been some of the most highest rated shows, part of the reason why you have the biggest podcast right now. I was talking about this on the show a few weeks ago. I was watching one of your shows, but I was like, I had it on my phone, and then I was kind of like wrangling kids also while I was doing it. So I'm watching the show, and it's live, and there was like over 300,000 viewers live. And then I paused it because I had to go do something with the kids. And then I came back, and like when I came back, the show wasn't live anymore. But it was still like I had it paused where I was in the stream, and I looked down, and it was only 15 minutes after the show had been live, and it was over 1 million views already on just on YouTube on it. I was just like, there's so many people watching this right now. It's really unbelievable.
And the other thing I just thought of, we're going to keep listening to it, is if Charlie could. So Andrew Tate pointed this out in a podcast that I'd played a while back. A unique level of influence is to get people to do things like kinetically, to get them to move, to get them to go to a place physically and do a thing. Okay. People will tune in and watch and listen and agree, follow, support people online. But it's a different level of influence to move people, to get people to, engage in a specific behavior that you're encouraging them and telling them to do. Charlie was able to swing a huge amount of people in Donald Trump's favor to go vote. That kind of power in the future, not to the candidate of their choosing, not to the cause of their, choice, is dangerous. Too dangerous for them to let go and to see where this ended up. There's no way they were going to let that just like, well, let's see how this plays out. It may not be that bad. It may not be that bad. Let's just see. No. They weren't taking any chances with Charlie Kirk.
And there's been something very interesting about the way you've been covering this. Well, look, it's a little uncomfortable to say, but like part of what's interesting and part of what's compelling about it is that you're Candace Owens, you're this pit bull who's got a hold of something, and everybody knows you're not letting go until you shake out everything that there is in there.
Yep.
Then you're also like a woman who's in deep grief,
yes,
very clearly over losing like a very close friend. And so it's just like it's very,
Real.
real and human people can relate to it. It seems to me, and I kind of want to talk to you almost about like what you think the biggest things are that you've revealed so far, like where we are now if we try to put this all together. But it seems to me the things that the takeaway that I find the most interesting so far is that, and correct me if I'm getting any of the chronology of this wrong, but I think I got it pretty much right. So you basically come out in the wake of the biggest political assassination in modern American history, and a good friend of yours, and you go, look, here's the deal. Charlie was really at war with the Israel lobby and with all of the Zionist handlers around him. They were threatening him. They were pulling funds from him. He had basically gotten to the point where he was like, I don't support any of this anymore. And immediately that was met with accusations of she is out of her mind. She's lying. This is I believe Josh Hammer called it an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. Yep. There was all types of that. Of course, Benjamin Netanyahu is selectively reading lines from Charlie's letter. Now
his 7-page letter. And, James Kaddis did the same thing. I'm trying to let this play longer. Okay. I do read your guys' comments, by the way. And I got to be able to make sure that the stream doesn't get interrupted and cut playing something too long, uninterrupted, and they will literally cut your stream, especially like a big show like Dave Smith's or Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson, which had happened to me early on in the beginning. And I'll try not to chime in too much, but I have to be able to keep this going. All right.
By the way, he doesn't mention that the rest of the letter, at least the rest of the letter that we've seen produced, is like the whole theme of it is like, this Hasbro bullshit is not working at all. We need to deal with I'm getting killed out here is the whole letter. He omits that and just reads the part where it's like, I sure do love Israel so much, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, all of them are saying the idea that there was a Jewish donors were pulling money or that he was in some war. Now, the thing that always at the very beginning made it very believable that you were saying this is that, well, number one, you're good friends with him. And number two, we all saw that Megyn Kelly interview. So, like, we all kind of know what's going on a little bit.
He was hosting you on stage. I mean, if you're so committed to the pro-Israel cause, you stay away from Dave Smith, right? I mean, that's a pretty easy thing to not invite Dave Smith to do a debate on stage when you know he's going to win.
Yeah.
Well, that was, and I mentioned this also at the thing. There was something about me because, look, obviously he had Tucker and he had Megyn Kelly there, who both essentially said Mossad was Epstein and were very, Tucker certainly was very critical of the Israeli government, but Tucker and Megyn are Tucker and Megyn. So, like, you have to have them at a conservative conference. Who could tell you're not going to have them? They're like legacy icons of the conservative movement.
They tried to tell Charlie not to have Tucker there, and they did it again and again and again.
But there was no need to have me. Like, that was a choice. Like, that was just, he could have just not invited me. Yeah. But anyway, so then this all gets exposed, or this, you get attacked for making up this nonsense. And now all of the receipts have been produced that this part I don't even think is in dispute by anyone at this point, that yes, millions of dollars had been pulled out of Turning Point USA over platforming Tucker Carlson and maybe to some extent me or whatever. And then also the biggest one is this thread, this group chat where he actually literally says in writing that I'm forced. I have no choice other than to abandon Israel. And then the other thing that is a real important detail here, which really, can't be overstated, is that Charlie's right-hand man there, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Andrew, is it? At Turning Point? Yes. So Andrew, who I met down at that event, who was always by Charlie's side, he confirmed not only that the group chat was real, that he's the one who took the screenshot of it, and that he sent it to the authorities.
Yep.
Which is like, look, it's just, I'm not saying that proves anything about who done it, but it is like the fact that the closest guy in the organization to Charlie found that information to be relevant enough that he's like, the authorities should know that he just said he was turning on Israel. Now, correct me if I'm getting any of the chronology of this wrong, or if there's more stuff you want to add, but that at least is like, that at least justifies your entire investigation into this. That you're like, hey, you guys were saying this whole thing was crazy. And we're at least at the point where like, no, it's pretty much confirmed by all that.
I was just sitting back and amazed at how quickly Bibi Netanyahu interjected himself in this situation.
Yeah.
He was not a personal friend of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk obviously had an affinity for Israel throughout his career. Everybody knew he was changing in the end. It was such a strange thing that they then tried to say that wasn't real. So that obviously immediately for me becomes a compelling motive, because there's no reason to lie. This is like what I said about the Bill Ackman summit. There's no reason to lie.
Yeah.
You could easily say, which is 100% true, Seth Dillon pressed him. They did this whole meeting. Bibi Netanyahu calls, invites him to Israel. Charlie says no, offers to fund Turning Point to the next level, which is totally normal for like a sitting prime minister of a country that's.
And I think I was playing it for a long time, you guys, so I got to be careful. The next level, like, look at do you guys know about the FAR filings? I've showed it multiple times. There's the Clock Tower X, right? LLC, and the Show Faith by Works. Okay. And I had an episode, and you guys can go back and look at it another time, about the timeline where Charlie writes that letter to Bibi in, it's either March or May of 2025, telling him the Hasbara stuff's not working, bro. you gotta change some things. And then Bibi responds like, okay, let me do it with you at Turning Point and on your shows. And he's like, no. Okay. Everything that happens over the summer, right? With the Student Action Summit with Tucker Carlson, Josh Hammer, and Dave Smith, right? Then we have the Hamptons and the Aspen Retreat. He goes on Tucker and says more. Charlie Kirk goes on Tucker and says more. Okay. At the Hamptons is when Bibi offers to give Charlie money to do it. So first, Bibi asks Charlie, can I just do it with you, through you, and through Turning Point? Charlie says no. A little bit time goes by. Another tactic. Okay, let me use money. So now we're going to use money. Charlie says no. Okay. No doubt that's when a lot of the threats, and this was just after at Student Action Summit, and he had Tucker and Megan and Dave Smith on. That's when I think the pressure really took off. June, July, August, right? Because we know at the last week is when he had Megyn Kelly on. And he had already started saying and voicing his concerns about the people around him, threatening him and pressuring him. But he really, really said a lot when he had Megyn on. But at the same time, while Charlie said no to the money and said no to Bibi, they had to already be fundraising, or they just reallocated the money that they were going to send through Turning Point and through Charlie. And then they start the paperwork for the FAR filings and the Show Faith by Works and Clock Tower X, which is in effect this massive propaganda campaign, which is Hasbara. That's what Hasbara is, to change the minds of Christians in America on Philly and on Palestine, pro-Philly, anti-Palestine. Okay. And so much more, our thoughts and beliefs about October 7th through churches, pastors, Christian universities. And then they ended up getting to do it through TPUSA anyway, once Charlie was taken out, because we know that at the memorial, they were using the superfeed technologies. Okay. And they were geofencing that event, and they were doing it at all of the Make Heaven Crowded events, like the one that's happening tonight in South Dakota. And that's how they're able to quote the numbers as specifically as they are, to know exactly how many people were there and in attendance and, tuned in and all that. It's all Lori Franzwe's Superfeed Technologies with, what's the other guy? Brad Parscale, Terrell Farnsworth. They're all connected. And all roads lead back to Philly. Charlie was standing in the way. Charlie's out of the way. The doors are open. And Erika's like, come on in. The water's warm. You got the money? All right. You got the money and the water's warm. Come on in. It's freaking nuts. I don't know how anyone. Well, they're all pro-Philly. That's why they like Erika.
Fighting a 97,000 front war. And Charlie said no. Okay. And if they had been like forthcoming and everyone had just kind of told the truth, I would have just been like, okay, like this is like some crazy lefty that did this. There's just never a reason to lie. Even if I get into a fight with Charlie day before he dies, I would be like, my biggest regret is that my last words to Charlie were F you. And this shows you life can be taken from you at any moment. Like I am just beside myself. They were obsessively lying, trying to bury this thing. And it made me go, something's just not right here. Okay. Yep. Then I learned, thanks to the Turning Point people, like the younger people at the organization were just like, there's a lot of lies being told. Charlie was concerned about finances, particularly he didn't know where the money was coming from. That's a very strange thing. I saw evidence of that. I obviously then presented the Doge email. He 7 days before he dies says, I'm going to start, audit, like a personal audit campaign inside a Doge committee inside to figure out things, where it was going, where it was coming from, and who it was going to. Yep. That's not a normal thing for somebody to be wondering about their company and then they're dead. So everything was a lie. And honestly, the one that struck me as the oddest was them lying about the Catholic thing. Yeah. Okay. And I'm including Andrew Colbert in this because what's this got to do with anything? I'm thinking, right? We all know Catholic gang. Yeah. We knew he was going to mass daily sometimes. We knew he had the St. Michael pendant. I knew that Erika had flown a priest right when he died. And they're getting up here and they're like, no, he just liked the architecture and he would sometimes he would go in there.
Because Catholicism by its very nature is anti-Zionism. Okay. And all of these other pastors, these Calvary Chapel pastors, by their very nature, they are Zionists. James Kaddis is going to say it in the video that I'll play in a minute.
And because he just liked pretty walls, I'm like, what is this lie about, right? So I'm putting together a picture, and the obvious thing to me, if I am a detective, is you're only lying because you're hiding something, right? And it seems to me like they're trying to not upset the very people that were pressuring him. They want him to be this committed Christian Zionist. He never faltered on it. If you want that money to keep going, are these donors still pressuring you? Now, why is Bibi Netanyahu lying? I don't know. But what I do know is we aren't getting the truth about anything. Then you couple that with Turning Point is lying, covering. That could just be financial, trying to protect the finances after Charlie, who knows. But then you add the Fed messages that they didn't want to give us a time about. The person's writing like they're in, 1887. This just young, gay 20-year-olds writing like we're in 1887. It's a nonsense. They have no explanation for that. I know that makes no sense. The I've got contact with the family. They're telling me that the feds are even lying about why he turned himself in. Yep. They basically were told, we'll slam down your doors or you can come in peacefully. What are you going to do? Like, hey, we got you no matter what.
She's talking about Tyler Robinson.
But you have two options here. He turned himself in, the family friend. I mean, there isn't a single thing they have told us, unless believe in the fantasy of the Superman neck because Charlie ate healthy. Right. And a 30,
which was put out there by Erika Kirk. Not Lee Trotter. That's what they told us. They lied to us. It was Erika Kirk that said that statement. Goodness.
Got 6, which would have decapitated him, as every hunter knows. Yep. He stopped it. He saved lives and he stopped it. And this was just your regular Christian miracle. It's all nonsense. Yep. Okay. We don't know what happened, but we certainly know that what they're telling us is bullshit. Yep. Right. And people we're just so tired of being sold slop. Another thing that struck me as very odd was they were pushing this kid, Breland Holland. You may have seen this.
And I don't know who Breland Holland is. We'll get back to that in a second. Let me go here. Just so you know who James Kaddis is. Let's I want to make sure he reads this whole part.
American left judges America. Focus on every bad thing America has done without putting any of it into moral perspective. America has been an extraordinarily decent nation that has done many indecent things. So too, Israel has been an extraordinarily decent nation that has done some indecent things. If we knew every detail.
Is that crazy? Like, is there, but Philly's better than America. Philly's better than America.
Of the history of every country we consider decent, I suspect we find the same is true of all of them. You're right. Great job, Dennis. Next one, I always call it verse 5, point 5. He says, you regularly refer to the Zionist media. That's what he calls it. What does that term mean? Does it mean media that believe Israel has a right to exist as a Jewish country?
No.
That is, after all, what Zionist means.
No.
Nothing more, nothing less. Until the day after October 7th massacres, only 2 groups regularly use the term Zionist media. Anti-Semites who use Zionist as a synonym for Jewish, and Arab and Muslim countries that groups that seek Israel's destruction. And by the way, he's right. You've never seen the term Zionist used in any other context in a negative connotation. And folks, I want to make myself clear. I'm a Zionist. Most of you watching this video are Zionists.
I want to make myself clear. James Kaddis is a Zionist. Did you even need him to say that? Look behind him. Okay. On the stage at his church, it's a menorah behind him. Okay. Oh my goodness. Wait, it gets better.
And if you're not a Zionist watching this video, great. We welcome you. I want you to be able to change your mind about the things that you see with a good, solid education of the truth.
He's going to give you an education of the truth. The Zionists. They're like diametrically opposed. Zionists and truth. It's nuts. Let's go. Where is it? Where's it at? Hold on. Let's hear what James Kaddis and Erika Kirk, and this is from 1 month ago. All right.
Big blessing to see how the Lord used the both of you to cause each other to grow in big ways. You know, I think about this with my wife all the time. You know, when I first met my wife, I had no idea how much she would end up blessing me.
Yeah.
The church, our church, would not be where it is. It has grown immensely. Pray for us, by the way. We're very close to buying a new building. It's an amazing thing. But we grew immensely, and it was because of the contribution of my wife. Like, if it wasn't for Nicole, the church would not be where it is. And I see the same thing with Charlie. I watched super growth happen when you and Charlie got married. It was amazing. Like, it was just like almost overnight. And God used you in a huge way. And I don't want to overstep any boundaries, but God used you in the same way God used my Nicole to totally minister to me and cause the church to grow. And the church knows it, by the way. You know, everybody in the church knows it. You know, like, I changed when I married my beautiful bride 10 years ago, you know, and I think that it's very obvious, the change in both of you when you got married, and to see the change in even the organization.
Oh, really?
That if it wasn't for you and God using you and being the most important voice in his ear besides the Lord, you would.
Most important voice in his ear besides the Lord. Right? The kind of voice that lies about her past, lies about her present, lies about what she actually believes internally and what she professes with her mouth in front of Charlie and in front of Tucker. She's a chameleon, shape-shifting, demonic woman of the night.
And see the kind of growth that you saw at Turning Point.
Oh, no.
And I think God does that. He does that in a very special way. And I, for one, am thankful that the Lord uses the marriage relationship to do that. I think it's very special.
Amen.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Erika, Turning Point wouldn't be what it is. Yeah, if it wasn't for Erika. Oh, how amazing. Erika's just the best. Can't even do it with you, bro. Let's go back over here.
Nice kid. He's like young.
Yeah. But it looks like he was made in an AI lab or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, nice kid. Trump mentions this kid in his speech at the memorial. Okay. Donald Trump mentions this kid who he doesn't know. And he's like, Charlie interviewed this kid who was only in 4th grade, blah, blah, blah. Hi, I was there for the interview. Trump wasn't. Why is Trump mentioning this? It was a random side podcast that we did when we did an event down in Alabama. Who put this in your speech? Okay. This has nothing to do with you, Trump. You didn't even know that I was there, right? Because somebody put this in your speech. That seems to me like you're just kind of trying to set the stage for this kid who's controlled by Israel narratives to become the new Charlie Kirk. So it just smells, and I'm covering it meticulously. And there obviously is an emotional investment here. Charlie was an amazing person. You know, he really was. He held the line. And when he gave an inch, like, okay, I won't have Candace, there's a reason he then said, and now you get Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson, and everybody else who's anti-Israel. That's how he was. He was very strategic. And I know he pissed off Bibi Netanyahu and his boys, because he is the single reason, okay, that we did not go to war with Iran. You guys may think that's crazy. It's a fact.
No, it was a big, that was a big deal. And look, I remember it. I remember texting him and giving him a lot of credit for it at the time, because it was like, what happened was, as Trump is flirting with what it turned into the 12-day war, or around the time when Israel starts first bombing and it wasn't clear whether or not we were going to get in on it. It was like, again, like it was you, Tucker, like all these people, Steve Bannon, there were all these people who, I mean, like really, really influential, like high level. I remember talking about it at the time and being like, I've just never seen anything like this before. Like this would be like in 2004, like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh all turning against George W. Bush's policy in the war. Like, what would that look like? You can't even like imagine it. Or Rachel Maddow and all of them turning against Obama or something. You never saw. But here you have this, and then Charlie, who was more. Look, obviously he was more. He was in a slightly different game than the rest of us are in. Like, he wasn't just doing a show. Right. He was doing a get out the vote youth organizational big tent Republican thing. Yeah. So he was always the most just pro-Trump of the group. Like, not that all of you guys might have supported Trump, but that was Charlie's identity. Yeah. And then when even he came out and was just like, no, dude, like we are not, this is not what the Trump base wants. Like, this is not, that is a huge, look, again, to some degree, it's hard to prove the counterfactual or what influence everything had, but that made it that there was such a political price for Donald Trump to have escalated the thing. Like,
and he was saying this to his face at the White House. And Charlie was, as someone said to me, and this is a perfect way to put it, Charlie was a maestro, right? So he would play like, hey, you know, Mr. President, here's why, and here's whatever. And then he'd go and he'd call me, and he'd call like Matt Gaetz and Tucker. He'd be like, hammer him, showing you like, you know, the market, they don't like this, whatever. And he won. Like, in a room full of people who wanted him to go to war with Iran, Charlie Kirk made the difference. And I don't take Bibi Netanyahu as someone who would take that lightly, right? And I just, everything he has done since Charlie has passed, trying to assert his legacy as he never blinked on Israel, it makes me uncomfortable, okay? Now, that's a feeling, and I've expressed that feeling, but I've also been meticulous about delivering a timeline of the facts, and it is very clear that some funny business started happening after the notorious event where you and Tucker spoke at, and they...
Yes. Hold on, let me play this, and then we're going to come back to it, all right?
And we're heavily influenced by supernatural forces, light and dark, but in this world, mostly dark. And the things that people want are, you know, power and wealth and acclaim. And, you know, I don't think there's anything like super crazy about it. And that's the basis of all religions, this acknowledgement. And I think it's only because we're without religion, meaning we're without a vocabulary to describe what we're seeing, that it's so shocking to us. But I think the medieval mind or the African mind or the almost any mind but ours would be like, well, yeah, of course. What do you think? You know?
He's about to ask a question. Let me get to the super chat. Always be true. Superman necklie. Isn't it proof that Erika had foreknowledge of what happened to Charlie? Wanted to sell it to the public. She should have freaked out, asked questions. No exit wound. Oh my gosh. But no, just lies. I don't know that it proves foreknowledge. It definitely points to foreknowledge. Okay. It points, but yeah, it almost does prove it. It almost does, actually, when you think about it. Because what's the other possibility that she had absolutely no foreknowledge at all, and then is told Charlie's shot, and then gets there and sees no exit wound, and then has no questions, and then immediately starts to craft this narrative, which just happens to shore up what would end up being the official FedSop narrative? Like, yeah, that I don't know how that she could have found out all that information that moment on the spot and reacted that way without having some sort of indication as to what should have happened, what she was expecting to happen, because that story is trying to explain what didn't actually happen and trying to give us an answer to a question we shouldn't have. but we do because it didn't make sense. And you're the wife. Why are you trying to make us accept something? Like, you shouldn't be accepting this. This is freaking weird. And you're the one that brings this up in the three-way conversation with Andrew Colvett and Lee Trotter, the surgeon. And then you sell it through Andrew to sell to us as having come from the surgeon. Yeah, I think, you're right always. I think it kind of does prove that she had some sort of foreknowledge. In our opinion, it's just our opinion, but I think it's pretty grounded in reality. Yeah. All right. I'm a little bummed. Sorry, I didn't mean to go back and forth real quick. So this kid, I don't know his name. He's also the one that interviewed Andrew Tate. He's interviewing Tucker. He's on like Tucker's show, but he's interviewing Tucker. This is the only part about Charlie and Candace. He's about to ask Tucker about Candace telling her audience that about the conversation she had with Tucker, that when Charlie Kirk and Erika was there, okay, because Candace filmed her episode with Tucker just after Charlie was there, and Charlie was there with Erika, that Erika was like really, really anti-Philly, more anti-Philly than Charlie, and then turns around and is like totally pro-Philly. So he's about to ask this question of Tucker, but never gets the right answer. But at least what Tucker says is interesting. So we're going to listen to it.
Candace made a video about you yesterday.
Made a video about me?
It was about a dinner that you'd had with Charlie and Erika Kirk. But on that topic, I wanted to ask, what was your last conversation with Charlie Kirk?
I don't remember, and I've never gone back. I got stuck.
So this is what's a bummer. He wasn't specific. He should have said, what was your last conversation face-to-face with him at that, when he came to film his show with you, his interview with you. Because now Tucker doesn't know. He doesn't know the reference. He doesn't know what Candace Owens episode he's talking about. He doesn't know the allegation, not allegation, but he doesn't know the claim that Candace made that Erika was anti-Philly there in front of Charlie and in front of Tucker. So Tucker has no basis to understand what is he actually asking. Okay, he didn't ask it right. And so now Tucker is thinking about the last text phone calls, emails, phone calls that Charlie and Tucker shared. And so he's going to try to remember. And but what he says after that is good. So we're going to hear it anyway. I won't interrupt now.
Into some lawsuits, and so I put my text on auto delete, which I never should have done. Fox entrapped me in a lawsuit that I wasn't even in. Whatever. It's such a boring story, but the result of it was I've always saved everything because I've been a journalist my whole life, so I like save things. But I put my text on auto delete. I've since, whatever, changed that, but I don't have. By the time I checked, they were all gone. So I don't know when I last I texted him a lot, and so I don't remember. But he was here in this room the summer he was killed on September 10th, and he was here not that long before. I mean, there was a lot of drama about me speaking at the Turning Point event in December. Not for me. I was happy to, but there was so much pushback against that I had many conversations with him about it, and they were all basically along the lines of this. I said, oh man, this is awful for you. I don't care, by the way. I talk enough. No, I insist. I'm not giving into this. All the neocons, all the Israel agents of Israel were pushing him really hard to cancel me.
Yeah.
Trump is just getting elected against cancel culture, and all of a sudden, like Josh Hammer and like that weird weekend host on Fox are like determining who's allowed to speak in public. The whole thing was so crazy. I couldn't hardly believe it was happening. It was just a foretaste of what we're going through now. But anyway, whatever. The point is, I talked to him a lot about it, and I was always like, dude, I do not need to do this. And he was absolutely insistent. That's true. He was absolutely insistent on it. And his views on Israel were not very different from mine at all.
Yep.
So there's a course, a big effort to lie about that.
Yeah.
But it is a lie. Because I talked about him a lot. And so anyone who's telling you that he was a blind supporter of Israel is lying, or didn't talk to him. But I did. I talked to him a lot about this topic. So
why would someone say that?
Why would Erika say that? Why would Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff say that? We know why Ben Shapiro, BB, and Lori Cardozo-Moore and Josh Hammer. Why would Jack Hibbs? Why would Frank Turek? Why would James Kaddis? But above all, why would Erika Kirk lie about that?
I don't know. I haven't really weighed in on the Turning Point thing. I've always I've known Erika for a long time, and since she was dating Charlie, he introduced me to her. I had lunch with him, and I've always really liked her, and I felt so sad for her when he was murdered, and I still feel that way. And I know that she's taken a lot of grief. I haven't participated in any of it. I don't read it. I really try to stay away from it. But I feel sorry for her. But there were people there who I know well at Turning Point who all of a sudden found themselves in positions that they didn't sign up for, they weren't hired for, and they weren't suited for. And they've been under enormous pressure, and they've done a really bad job. I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for them because they didn't sign up for it, actually. Charlie got murdered, so they're doing their best, and they're not suited for it at all.
So he's not made it. He is evolving, though, which is great. He hasn't even said what he's saying right now before. At least we're hearing his opinion that he actually agrees that they're doing a really bad job. It's just that how he reached that conclusion is that they weren't suited for it, and that they didn't sign up for it, and that their boss and friend was murdered, and that it's something that they weren't ready to do. When we all know they hit the ground running. They knew exactly what talking points, what narratives. It'll be interesting to find out what donors came back in after Charlie left. Okay, we know she let in Ben Shapiro. He accepted his $1 million to speak at AmFest. I wonder if Bill Ackman came back in. I wonder if they took in that $180 million from Bibi Netanyahu. Okay, we know that they're paired with Salem Media now. Okay.
Oh. And they're under all this pressure, and I think they've made some bad decisions, and not supporting Massey, not demanding that Trump end this war. Those are major failures. Like, Charlie was aggressively anti-neocon. He said it a lot. He couldn't have been clearer about that.
Yeah.
And so I think for the sake of his memory and consistency, and also just decency and the country, they should have continued with that posture, but they didn't. And I know they're under tons of pressure, and all these creepy donors, who are like, care about Israel more than the United States. Okay, well, life is hard, and you want the job, you want the salary, you get in there and do what's right.
Yeah.
I don't have as much sympathy, even though I have sympathy for them personally. Like, these are people I like a lot and have not criticized, don't plan to criticize, but it makes me sad.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
I don't want to ask about Candace's video. I think you've implied it from what you've said, but
Charlie was very anti-neocon. I just want to be clear, very. And anyone who says he wasn't either didn't know him or talked to him or is lying. It's like literally that simple.
And would you suspect that his wife had very differing viewpoints?
She's taken so much heat, and I have said, I'm sure I'll be attacked for saying it because she's like taking so much heat, but I've always liked her, and I feel so sorry for her. And no, she did not have, so far as I could tell, who knows what people really think.
Right.
But I can.
So that answered it. That answered it right there. I kind of missed that earlier when I was listening to it, and I'm going to keep playing it. But so as far as he could tell, she did not have differing beliefs on neocons and Philly. That actually shores up what Candace Owens said. I don't know how I missed that earlier. When she was there, She even was more anti-neocon and anti-Philly. Explain the sudden turn of support in Philly's direction. Who is around her now still without Charlie? Oh, let's hop back here for a second. Let's listen to this scumbag, and then we'll go back to Tucker.
This stuff is super, super important. It's very, very important. Point number 6. Israel has a stranglehold on dialogue in America. Please, that's ridiculous. All of her assertions
are
ridiculous. That is so obviously untrue as to qualify, I regret to say, as a lie. I am not accusing you of lying because I think you believe it. So let me ask you, does Israel have a stranglehold on dialogue in academia? If there's a stranglehold on dialogue in American universities and increasingly in high schools, it comes from anti-Israeli sources. It is much more dangerous for one's career and reputation for a professor to speak out on behalf of Israel than to attack it. Does Israel have a stronghold on dialogue in American media? Other than the Wall Street Journal editorial page, virtually all mainstream media in America loathe Israel's prime minister as much as they hate Donald Trump.
No.
And they vigorously oppose Israel's war against Hamas.
No.
Given that the media and academia are the primary shapers of American opinion, where exactly does Israel have a stranglehold on the dialogue in America? It's a great point. Really, really, really good point.
Every time he reads Dennis Prager, he's like, totally agree. Totally agree. Great point. Oh, well said. And then he reads Candace Owens' statement. He goes, oh, it's so disgusting. So totally wrong. Couldn't be more wrong. Charlie felt the exact same way Candace felt. The exact same way Tucker feels. The exact same way Dave Smith feels. Tucker just said it, man. This is who is around Charlie. Who was around Charlie at the end and who's around Erika now. Okay. These people, I think, were the ones that exerted the pressure in his circle. Okay. These other ones like Josh Hammer, yes, 100% too. You have to have access to Charlie in order to exert pressure like directly. Other people like donors, they can exert pressure differently, right? They have his number. They can call him. They can contact. They can threaten to pull funds and then pull the funds. Yeah. Then you have BB who's threatening from a distance, but by proxy. Philly and BB were threatening by proxy. They have these guys. These guys are taking 5 trips, 6 trips, 7 trips to Philly a year. They're the ones going and doing these, part of the Show Faith by Works Far. It's like a pastor indoctrination program. We're going to send materials. We're going to send pamphlets. We're actually going to fly pastors out to Philly to be indoctrinated. These guys were already doing it. All these Calvary Chapel pastors were already doing it. Go look at their pastor logs, like their videos over the years. It's James and Jack Hibbs said it themselves. Like James was like, I don't know anyone else that's more pro-Philly than me. I've done thousands of videos. Jack Hibbs said it himself when he just did that sit down with Tucker. That sit down with Frank Turek. I've got thousands of videos on this, on Philly, on defending Philly and Philly and Philly and Philly. Charlie wanted to be away from these guys. He soon found out like these guys are connected to all these other people putting pressure on him. You wonder why he was moving over to Catholicism? You wonder why? I don't wonder at all. I don't wonder at all.
Now he gets into this point regarding Leo Frank murdering Mary Pagan.
All right, and that's a whole nother sidebar. Let's go back to Tucker.
Just tell you that it was definitely, I want to underscore, definitely not my impression that Charlie was like anti-neocon and she was like some secret neocon. Like that was definitely not my impression. Now, who knows what, that guy, I actually texted with her 2 days ago. I haven't talked to her, but I'm going to, and I like her, and I've just tried to stay out of it.
He gets uncomfortable when he has to talk about Erika. It's the only time in the interview that he stumbles and fumbles over his words, where he looks visibly uncomfortable. In my opinion, that is a sign, right, where he is torn. He's torn on what to do, what to say, because he's having to think. He's having to think twice about how to say it and how to phrase it in a way that is going to be still like kind and respectful, but he's like, he wants to be honest. He wants to tell the truth, but he also like, he's nervous that telling the truth is going to bring more heat on Erika. And so he's like visibly uncomfortable trying to sort through like how to word this, how to answer this honestly, but still like not full on slam Erika. But you heard it. He did not get the impression that she was like a secret neocon. Well, the cat's out of the bag, y'all. The cat's out of the bag.
And I think in order of what I think, I'll just tell you what I think. I think it's hard for me to believe that Charlie was murdered because of his views on trans rights.
Because he wasn't.
Maybe he was.
He was.
But anyone demanding that I believe that without evidence is an enemy of the truth.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think that, prove it to me. But don't scold me or tell me, Candace Owens, anti-Semitic. Oh, be quiet. He was my friend. So I'm not, why would I stand for that? I'm not standing for that. I think it's unlikely. That's my personal view. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm waiting for the trial, but I don't like at all the way they've handled this at all. And Joe Kent, who I know very well, is an honest and reasonable person, not a hater at all.
Nope.
Not a hater of Israel or any of this nonsense. He's an honest man with the highest level of security clearance, said in public to me and others, there was evidence, not proof, evidence to suggest foreign involvement in this. Doesn't mean there was foreign involvement. It means that there are threads we need to follow, leads we need to track down, and the FBI refused.
Yeah.
And the FBI has not responded to that. So as a friend of Charlie's, an actual friend of Charlie's, I think it's fair for me to say, what is that?
Yeah.
It's not an attack on Turning Point or anything. It's just like, what is that?
Okay, then why did Andrew Colvett feel that it was necessary to send Joe Kent that message and then lie and say that Candace is the one that leaked the message and then lie and say that there are no leads or there's no indication or evidence at all that point to foreign involvement or Philly directly? Why Erika? She's co-signing everything that Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff are saying on the show. She is. Because maybe play this out. Say she has no say in it. That's weird. She's part owner of that show. It's her husband's name still on the show. His legacy's on the show. His email, his name is still the code that they, sell to people. They buy this product and you get a discount, type in Kirk, You could say that she doesn't know before the show, but the moment the show airs, why isn't she then coming out and offer and issuing a retraction, making Andrew and Blake retract the statement, coming out and saying these guys are going rogue on what they're saying about Charlie, about Philly, none of that. She's not doing any counter information on her ex, on socials. No. So whether she but I believe she knew before. I believe she knows before. Okay. But even if she didn't, she could have done things after the fact to rectify the issue and set the record straight. And she hasn't done that either. So she's okay with it either way. She's okay with it. She's letting it continue either way. Ugh, it's so crazy. You want to see the level of control that Erika had over Charlie? Let's go here. Let me back this up.
So again, for us, just to start, I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago, Charlie came home and I was like, I cut the internet. And he's like, how am I supposed to work?
Yep. Right. So it says Charlie was concerned this decision affects him. This was not a mutual decision.
I was like, I got it all figured out.
Right. So dismissing his concern gives no options, positions herself as, gives no options. This positions herself as the final authority in the house.
I got it all figured out. So we hardwired everything, hardwired our TVs, our computers.
Right? Hardwiring makes it easier for a person that already has access to the home to have direct reach into the network, meaning they could more easily monitor, tamper, tap, bug, snoop, and generally interfere in whatever Charlie was doing. Yeah, it's freaking nuts. Maybe I don't need to pause it. Sorry, I hit play. It's just maybe I won't need.
It made you more intentional of not being able to use your phone to do certain stuff.
Yeah, certain stuff implies a behavior that she once reduced, comfortable with limiting access to shape Charlie's behavior.
Because you have limited, where we live, we have limited service in some spots of the house.
Control where he can have service.
So it's like eventually.
And it said control where he could have privacy.
Actually, we're going to go back to having a house phone because
reduce spontaneous contact isolation.
It's something that's so, I know I'm hopping all over here, but it all comes together synergistically when you cut off certain things like that and you have limited access to Wi-Fi or limited access on your phone. It helps to do something like the Sabbath.
Right. So if you can make the restriction feel holy, it becomes harder to challenge. Yeah. She was controlling him.
Where you can truly honor it and say to your friends and family, if you truly need me and it's a deep emergency, please call our landline or have a bat phone or have one phone that is used for emergency line, put in the kitchen, stored away. And if someone needs you, that's how they contact you.
Right. So if the Sabbath is being used to justify a 24/7 restriction system, then it's not really Sabbath anymore. It's ongoing control. Yeah. It's just nuts. I hit play.
But for me, it's like, okay, so in the house, what can we do to help holistically, just with our health, and then also mentally, making sure that we are.
Holistic is a very useful word when you want to sweeping change to sound nurturing.
I mean, honestly, the voices that you consume on a day-to-day basis will play a huge role and influence in your life. What are you watching on TV? What are you listening to? What are you reading?
Yeah, it sounds like she's admitting she was controlling Charlie's environment to shape and influence or shape his influence and behavior. Ideological filtering. She's explicitly worried about influence. What is Charlie taking in? What is he watching? What is he listening to? Yeah. It's crazy. There's another one. Hold on.
So just really making sure that all of that points into Christ, but also in alignment with where your family's goals, mindset, morals, heart is, just really making sure all of that's in alignment.
Do you really think Charlie needed her to point him to Christ? Do you really think that Charlie needed Erika to make sure what he was doing and watching and reading and listening to was pointing to Christ and in alignment with the family? No, right? She defines what is acceptable. Anything outside that is off limits. Dissent equals misalignment. Yeah. It's so sad. I don't know. Is that the last thing? Hold on. Yeah. So which voices was she trying to limit? Which ideas and people was she concerned about? Well, it seems like we know the answer to that. We know.
So again,
anything. And so here's another one that we'll watch about, and this was a little bit further back, but it kind of just goes to show the type of control they had over Charlie.
The team took my Twitter account away for the Super Bowl.
What? Really?
Well, sort of. Yeah, they were like, you're not allowed to tweet.
You have a story behind that.
Oh no, it had music. Oh, that's a really short clip. I don't know if I can play the whole thing without it getting dinged pretty hard. Let me go back over here real quick, and then let me go here. So I can explain it. So he wanted to send, and I think I said it earlier, right? He wanted to send out a tweet, and he had to ask permission to do it, and it would get denied. No, you can't tweet that. And then one time, he was able to get, he messaged someone else directly and got the password, and they gave it to him. I forget who it was. And then they gave it to him, and he was able to send out the tweet. These are the kind of, gymnastics and hoops he had to jump through in his business, professional life with those at work. But then we just played what was going on in his personal home life with Erika. So in all areas of his life, he was being controlled. And then he was going to these pastors like James Kaddis and Jack Hibbs and Frank Turek and Rob McCoy, and they were telling him what to do, what to think, what to say. I think he was feeling suffocated. Candace said it good. I don't know where it's at in the Dave Smith interview, but that a soul being like suffocated and controlled will want to break free. I'll see if I could. I think it's towards. Let me go to this part of where she's at. It might just be this part of it. Let's see. Dave Smith.
They were enraged, and the donors were enraged. They took millions of dollars. And he said after that, he said no to Bibi Netanyahu. He said, no, I don't want your money. I don't want to take Turning Point to the next level. I've now recently, which I haven't presented yet, am learning how much money each person at Turning Point lost.
Really?
When Charlie said no to Bibi Netanyahu, because they were going to get a percentage of that. And that's interesting. Anybody investigating a crime knows, look at financial motives, right? Common sense, look at financial motives. And they're emotionally manipulating us like it's disrespectful to his legacy to pursue truth. I knew Charlie. I'm not listening to them. You do one of two things when you go through something like that. I suffered a real trauma. I had to take 2 weeks off because I couldn't even process what was happening, and the way they were trying to get us to just forget about it. Dave, just
remember, Erika took no time off. She's out there, dangling the necklace out the SUV, crying for the cameras, right? She's immediately on, a camera over Charlie's body in the casket. She's immediately doing Zoom calls at work. She's working immediately. She accepts the CEO role within 72 hours. No time off. She didn't need a moment to deal with any of this. What in the actual heck? What? We all grieve Charlie more than his own wife? What? You can never make that make sense to me. You'll never explain that to me in a way where you're like, oh, she just grieved differently. Oh, everybody grieves differently. No. Erika did not grieve at all. She went right from, and I guess that's because when you know something is coming, in my opinion, there's no shock. There's no trauma. Because part of the trauma is like it happening without you knowing it's coming. Okay? And like you not preparing yourself for it, right? And that's for people that like have foreknowledge of something that's scary and traumatic that's going to happen that they take no part in. But people that are going to participate in the planning, execution, and cover-up, it's even less traumatic. It's not traumatic at all. They're part of it, in my opinion. And so there was nothing for her to grieve. There was no trauma in this for her at all. And that's why she can't get out there and act traumatized and act like a grieving widow, because she wasn't, in my honest opinion. Because she wasn't. We've never seen her grieve Charlie's death. We've never seen her up in arms about what we all saw. And I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. You can say whatever you want to freaking say to me. I don't care, dude. I don't care. And she should want to watch the video. Sorry. As hard as it would be, I would want to know. It would be hard. It would be hard. I would never get the image out of my brain.
but then I would use that pain as motivation to never freaking let it go until I found out, what did I just see? Wait. In order for her to know the official narrative is true, she should have to watch that video and go like, wait, that's not what I saw. She's shot guns. She's not okay. She knows what it should look like. I guarantee you she's seen the video. There's no way she hasn't, okay? But even in this world that she hasn't, that's even more suspicious. Like, as a surviving partner, you would want every freaking answer. I would want to know every little detail about every single minute that led up to it. What did you do? What did you say? What was the plan? Security team, why didn't you have someone on the roof? Wait. Feds, wait. Who did it? With what round? With what caliber? Whoa. No, she's got no questions. She has no curiosity. She's not concerned at all to try to find out what really happened to Charlie that day, what led up to it, what actually went down that day. And then, like, okay, why are they shifting the narrative? Why are they controlling the narrative? Why are they saying that they already have this pre-packaged patsy story tied up in a bow, ready to go, and she's not concerned about any of the holes, any of the issues at all? That is suspicious in and of itself. Because I don't care who you are. I just, if something traumatic happened to my wife, it would be so hard to watch, but I would want answers. The only way you could even form questions is to watch it. You wouldn't know what to ask. You wouldn't know what to look for. So in order to ask the right questions, you have to watch the video. So gross. These people, you know? Oh, but the widow. You got to protect the widow, Dana Loesch.
Like, move on. His legacy is he loves Israel. It's over. And here's what you can do if you love Charlie, donate. Okay? No. I was behind Turning Point because Charlie was there. He's not there. I need to know what and who is running this organization now behind the scenes. And I'm not going to accept that, okay, well, Erika Kirk, yeah, on paper, she's a chairman and she's a CEO, but you don't learn how to be a chairman and a CEO overnight because your husband died, right? That's just a fact. I couldn't be a chairman and a CEO.
You couldn't. Charlie felt the same way. Let's go to Charlie. Is this the one? Hold on. I think it's this one. I have two clips of them. So this might be, let's see, let's listen. My wife helps me find clips too. So this is, let me start here.
You know, the Uber guy, you know, okay, wow, tax is too expensive. What if we democratize this at an app and we could charge people to do it? You find a problem, you solve it. That's what entrepreneurs do. But yeah, look, and then finally, I just want to make sure that everyone that knows this, if you have 4 kids and then you want to start a business, there will be a cost. And you will spend, if you want to really be a hard driver, that will mean less time with your kids. There is no way around it. There is no way to sugarcoat it. Being a founder, starter, entrepreneur at a high level and 4 kids, something will have to be trimmed, right? At some point, you'll have to say no. And you might be okay with that, but I just want to make sure that everyone understands that it is seemingly from the outside glamorous to start a business from nothing, but there's nothing quite like an 11-year overnight success story, right? Where you have to pain and labor and fire people, hire people. You know, I've done, 285 red-eye flights. Not fun, right? Where, you're just destroyed the next day and you have to give speeches and all that sort of stuff. So if you're willing to do that, great. I will say this. Now that I have a daughter, I would not start Turning Point USA now that I have a daughter. It was uniquely for a period of life where I didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have a daughter. I needed to be able to work 20-hour days for 5 years straight.
Listen,
but Eric could do it now without Charlie. Okay, obviously they're talking about the formation time frame, but that was him on his own. So he's talking about running a company on his own with kids. He said he would not be running an organization like Turning Point on his own with kids. Oh, but supposedly Charlie wanted Erika to be CEO in the event something happened to him. No, No. Sorry. It's just not true. Let me go back to here.
And I've been in business. My husband does all that because it's not my natural interest. You have to actually like the mundane. You got to read the contracts and you got to understand the LLC structures, the contractors that you're bringing in for a company that's worth $100 million, Dave. Like, no, okay, there's some snakes in the garden and I'm here to cut the grass and figure out where they are.
Well, and I think also people don't understand how talented Charlie was. And that's natural. That's the way things work with really talented people. Like they make it look kind of easy and then everybody else kind of, doesn't really, but it's like, just to be like, people don't understand how good you have to be to go just like do what he would do and hold court with all of these students and debate 1,000 different people and then go, like, you got to be really good to do that. Yeah. But then also people in a weird way go, Charlie did what all of us do. And then he ran this gigantic organization, which.
Yeah. Can you guys do me a favor real quick? We got like 310 people here. We have 190 likes. I haven't mentioned it yet so far. Can you guys just do me a favor and hit the like button if you haven't done so already? Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Really moved the needle in a very powerful way. In fact, might be the reason why Donald Trump is president. I mean, if you go look at the polling data from 2024, the youth movement was a huge difference for Donald Trump, and I'd have to double look at that. Might have been the margin of victory. It was a big deal. And by the way, all those youth are now going back to the Democrats. At least that's what it looks like.
That's the future. That's what Charlie had at his fingertips. That level of influence
as of this week, which is an interesting thing to think about.
I'm not going to vote, so there's that.
There's a real interesting dynamic there that I kind of that I do want to talk to you about a bit, where it seems like it's almost and in a way, I think this was something that was one of Charlie's big concerns. Okay, we'll get to this in a sec, but it was. Like, I know, so essentially, right, like everybody started kind of releasing messages and, Netanyahu is selectively reading from the letter. Bill Ackman's releasing text messages. You end up releasing some group chats. And you had that one show where you were like, hey, Dave, Tucker, like whatever you guys got. Like, and I was like, okay. So I looked through my text message with Charlie. I didn't know, we became friends over this last year, but I didn't know him like the way you knew him. We weren't like close like that. But I was like, I wonder if and I didn't really have much, but I had that one text message that he did send me right after I debated Douglas Murray, where he was like, this Murray guy was really full of shit. And he goes, I actually agree with almost all of what you were saying there. And I did release that because I do think, like, look, even if, let's just say there is a thorough investigation, it gets done with, there's cameras in the courtroom. We all get to see the evidence, please. And we really are at the end of this. Like 8 months from now, me and you are talking and we're like, it was Tyler Robinson. And it was, like, this is just, the evidence does look like he was a lone left-wing nut. Okay, fine. It's still, the fact is that when somebody young, who's so beloved by millions of people, gets killed in such a public, gruesome way, in such a high-profile political assassination, that people trying to hijack his legacy, like, that matters. And I'm sorry, like, if you're going to tell me that Charlie Kirk, there is no daylight between him and Ben Shapiro, or him and Josh Hammer, or him and Benjamin Netanyahu, let me tell you what none of those guys do. Is text me after my debate with Douglas Murray and go, I really agreed with most of what you said there. They don't say that. You're an evil enemy to them at that point. And that wasn't Charlie's attitude. Charlie's attitude was like, I get what you're saying, man. Let's talk about this more. Like, we should hammer this out. And so at the very least, even if it's not something to do with the actual, like, crime, this is all still very relevant to get to the bottom of, like, what was going on here. And then, of course,
by the way, you're speaking to his character. And that's what I wanted people to understand. For the people that were like, oh, Charlie was just doing whatever for Israel. Charlie was pro-Israel like I was pro-Israel, because he actually believed it at that time. He was an authentic human being. It was not this like hardcore political idiot. He wasn't in a cult, and he was transformative. If he thought something and he was wrong, he would change his mind and he would tell you how he got there. And they knew that about him. They knew that he was not a cult member, and that money was not going to be something that was going to make him go, okay, well, I'm just going to say the thing and look like a fool. What Charlie wanted more than anything else was to win. Okay. In order to win, you have to be right. But in order to win, you have to be right long term. And so Charlie would do the due diligence. He would study things. He would have the conversations, and he was landing up. He was just winding up on the other side of this thing, like I did, where it's like, hey, and that's what I said to him. I was like, when you start looking into this, you're feeling the pressure. You're going to see something's very wrong. Like, we did not have this right, Charlie. We did not have this right. And because he had that humility to admit that he was wrong, he no longer served their purpose, right? That's what I realized. They will throw you out and coordinate behind the scenes, have all their sycophants go after you, take quotes out of context, start with the articles. He's flirting with anti-Semitism. He put on a hot dress and he saw anti-Semitism, whatever. That's kind of where they start. And that's like the threat of the articles that are about to drop. And Charlie said no. And so that is one of the things that makes me just so happy. And when I just pray, I just want him to know, you died with your soul intact. And something that brought me such peace was a donor to Turning Point USA.
All right, listen, this is the quote. I was waiting for this quote. Here it is. Listen to the quote.
Who was very close with Charlie, said to me in the immediate aftermath, a soul that is in struggle will free itself, right? One way or the other, it will free itself. And I think for Charlie, his soul was starting to struggle. And to know that his last things that he said to them was like, no, F you, keep your money. Like, he died a free man.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah. Yeah. And
yeah. Oh, it's so sad that it came down to that choice, that it's like, if I want to remain free and true to myself and true to my faith and true to my country, true to God, that they'll take my life. But that's what it comes down to. It's really sad. Yeah. But at least he stayed true all the way to the end, to himself, to his country, to his real friends, to God, to his kids. I don't include Erika in that because it's sad to even say his last name with her first name. I almost just refuse. The kids are his. They're obviously both of theirs, but she doesn't deserve his last name anymore. She doesn't deserve to be called a Kirk, to be associated with his legacy, with his integrity, with his moral compass, with his values and principles. She doesn't deserve that. She's Erika Franzwey to me. Okay? She's loyal to the donors, to Philly, to her mom. She's not loyal to Charlie. She doesn't deserve his last name. She's lost that, in my opinion. Yep. Zach said that very good today. For all of us, that we could end our lives like Charlie, that we'd be willing to die for a cause as meaningful as the one that Charlie gave his life for, and that you can stand before God on that day when you see him face to face, and God will utter the phrase, "Well done, you won. You ran the race well, my good and faithful servant." Yeah. Nuts. Oh my goodness, I lost myself for a minute. One thing I thought that was interesting, we'll listen to this. I think the story of how Erika and Charlie met is a lie. We were told it was an interview, like an actual interview for a job. But then she says many, many times, I didn't need a job. I didn't need a job. Well, that's confusing. Why do you go on an interview? If it's an interview for a job, it's because you need a job. or at least this potential job is better than the job you have or the job that you're shooting for. Like, there's a reason why you would go on an interview, because of the prospect that it'd be better than what you're doing or what you're planning to do. But it's all still about the job. Charlie tells this story that it wasn't a job at all. It was a date. It always was a date that turned into an interview for his future wife. Like that you should interview those that you date for that future position as your partner. That's what he says. And so it's interesting. Let's take a listen. Let me back it up.
I want to ask, how did you know your wife, Erika, was the one?
Oh, that's knew almost immediately. I met her and we had a very, very long dinner, which was very close to almost an interview. And no, you're going to laugh, but you should absolutely interview for your spouse. But, by the way, if they don't check the boxes, move on and go to the next one. The dating for dating's sake is bad for you. It's bad for them. It's bad for everybody. You should date with the intent to marry. I can say this from a male perspective. One of the problems is that young ladies are led to believe to get male attention, you have to throw yourself out there. I'm going to be very diplomatic, okay? When in reality, men seek what they can't have. And to make yourself harder, I know this might be hard for some of you because you say, no, I want men to like me, I want this. But to make yourself more desirable, you actually have to try to sometimes wall yourself off and have to have men earn the right to be able to date you, that they have to court you. And in the era of hookup culture and quick seeking pleasure, that is very difficult. However, men are wired very differently than women. And one of the most important things that you have to learn is that men do not view, especially sex and relationships, the way that you do, especially young men.
Yeah.
Young men do not look at sex a lot of times as, let's say, a culmination of a deep personal and spiritual bond.
Right.
A lot of times it's purely physical and it's simple as that.
Yeah.
And for a lot of young ladies, they don't quite understand that. They think that the counterpart of the male views it the same way they do.
No.
And that leaves with a lot of brokenness and regret and confusion and torment. And hookup culture has hurt men, but it's really, really hurt women.
Yeah.
It has not hurt men nearly as much. And so that's just a general piece of advice. And pray to God. And also, you have to make a decision that in your early 20s, are you going to prioritize career or a husband? And you might say, oh, it's not either or. It's not either or. However, you run the risk as you get into your late 20s and early 30s to all of a sudden say, I can't find the one. I can't find the one. And my hope for you is that you don't have to be in that situation. And so if you prioritize it, if you make it your number one priority, then you obviously dramatically improve your chance.
Did Erika make it her number one priority? No. She made it to her mid-30s, unmarried, without kids, because she was chasing the corporate, secular, worldly life. But let me replay the beginning, okay? He says it was dinner. He doesn't say it's an interview that turned into dinner. He says it was dinner that was like an interview for my spouse, not an interview for a job at all. And I just find that interesting. I found that really interesting.
I want to ask, how did you know your wife, Erika, was the one?
Oh, that's knew almost immediately. I met her and we had a very, very long dinner, which was very close to almost an interview. And no, you're going to laugh, but you should absolutely interview for your spouse.
Interview for your spouse. So that's the only way it was like an interview. It was like an interview. You should absolutely interview for your future spouse. I don't know, man. Knowing what we know about Erika and that she's like a chameleon, and for Charlie back then, she hadn't had any kids. If you want to know what she looked like before, people still think she's pretty now. Nah, the personality's ruined it for me. I can't look at her anymore and go like, yeah, she's pretty. No, not at all. I don't find her attractive at all. I'm like repelled by her voice, her eyes, her everything. It's just like, ugh. But if you want to look at her through the eyes of what Charlie might have seen, go back and watch that Summer Nights in Hamptons. Like that was her that weekend before that dinner meeting with Charlie. She was younger. It was before any kids. By all standard principles, like, measures. Yeah. She was pretty. She was very pretty. And if she also at that time knew exactly what to say, how to act, and she could turn on the flirt and turn on the fake, I'm super interested in you. She came with talking points. Like she knew Terrell Farnsworth. You don't think that Terrell and all these other people prepped her? Charlie's going to ask this. Charlie's going to want to know this. He's going to want to know what you think about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. He's going to want to know that you know the Constitution, right? The Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights. He's going to want to know your thoughts on theology, philosophy, religion, all of it, politics. He's going to grill you, okay? They would have prepped her. They maybe even had an earpiece in her ear because I don't know how smart, how well she doesn't remember lines very well and sell them, at least to an audience. Maybe one-on-one, she's a lot more convincing, okay? And to an unexperienced individual, especially in a personal dating kind of realm like Charlie was, he had just come off of being heartbroken. He had just asked a girl to take it to the next level that he was like really serious with, and she turned him down. You don't marry the rebound. Charlie didn't even know that. He thought the rebound was the wife. He didn't even know that. He didn't know that after a major heartbreak, you need time to heal. You need time to like reevaluate. Like, okay, the girl I thought I was falling in love with didn't reciprocate the feelings at all. Okay, so what was Charlie reading in her to make him think that she would accept his, advance at courtship to the next level? So he must have been misreading cues and a lot of things to have asked this girl to take it to the next level and then her say no. And then he's in this period of real heartbrokenness over that. And I guarantee you, Tyler Boyer was like, this is the time. Tyler, if Andrew Colvett was around at that time, it's around the same time. And obviously he was there before the meeting in the LA County, meeting where Erika Kirk is introduced as like his friend, but not just a friend, potential girlfriend. So Andrew probably came in right before Erika came in the scene, but that all these people would have been, telling Charlie, oh, she's great, da 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 da, and also telling Erika, like, this is a perfect time. Now's our time. We tried the 4 times prior. You tried with your mom in Philly. Didn't happen. I tried to set you up multiple times. You were at the rally. It didn't happen. 2 times at the headquarters in Arizona. Didn't happen. This is the perfect time. He's heartbroken. We're going to tell you what to say, how to act. You're going to swing in and you're going to whisk him off his feet. And he's ready for commitment. He just asked this girl for commitment. She said no. You're going to say all the right things. You're going to be pretty. You're going to check all the boxes. You're going to pretend to be smart and intelligent and articulate. You're going to care about all the same things. He's going to want to take it serious right away. And that's what happened. He just didn't know. He didn't know that Tyler and Andrew and all of them. And don't forget, I played the video. James Kaddis and these Calvary Chapel pastors were running point. You better marry Erika. You better marry Erika before God takes the blinders off of her eyes and she sees you for what you really are, as if like she's better than you. That was insane. You better marry Erika or you're stupid. You better not do a long engagement. You better marry Erika now. You better marry Erika because she's going to be the thing that blesses you and your career and turning point. He said it himself. He said it with Erika. Erika is the thing that made Charlie Kirk, and TPUSA. And without Erika, TPUSA wouldn't have turned into what it turned into. What a crock. What a load of BS, dude. These pastors were putting pressure on Charlie to marry Erika, to do all these things, to defend Philly, to not be friends with Candace, to not be friends with Tucker Carlson. Let's go to the end of this video with James Kaddis. He titled this video, "The Dark Side of Candace Owens." You want to know how he really feels?
There and report on what you find. If you're still interested, I'm offering to go with you to Israel to do just that. Obviously, I could not go into Gaza, even if such a thing were possible, but I can certainly talk to people who could make it happen if it is possible. Though I admit to some trepidation about the risk to a young American mother of young children. Candace, this is one of the most difficult letters I have ever written. After you read this, I am open to dialoguing with you privately or publicly. May I ask that you confirm that you have received this letter, Dennis? Okay, that's a lot there. And we went over a lot, and we are probably hitting the 1 hour mark of this video. So let me just simply say this. The Bible makes some things very, very clear. One of the things that we find out that the Bible speaks about with some regularity is a discussion of being sober-minded. The Bible asks us to watch and to be sober. When you read the book of 1 Thessalonians tells us this. You read 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, it tells us, be watchful and sober, okay? And I think that that's a very, very important picture, right? And the thing is if you cannot watch and be sober, then you have a problem because you can't see clearly. You see, clearly Candace is seeing the same data set that lots of other people are seeing, but her lack of sobriety keeps her from being able to understand what it is that she's actually looking at.
She's sober. What are you talking about? She's not using drugs and alcohol. You're insane, bro. That you weaponize the scriptures to justify your your beliefs and your accusations on Candace. I guarantee you, he was saying all this stuff to Charlie. And
the lack of sobriety that I'm talking about has nothing to do with drugs or alcohol or anything like that. It has everything to do with being given to sin. And folks, I'm going to say this: the more you allow yourself to be given to unrighteousness, and the more you allow yourselves to be given to lies and not truth, the less sober you become. And Candace Owens has been anything but sober.
Okay, that's actually what that scripture is talking about. It's about being sober-minded. Okay, here. What I think is happening here, we're going to listen a little bit more, but every time he squints, it's like he's possessed the demon that's possessed him, and the demon wants out, and he's like, no, you're going to stay in there. Like, I'm going to keep you in there. He's like tormenting the demons. That's James Kaddis. And that's why he's going through these convulsions, is the demons are trying to exorcise themselves out of him, and he won't let them. He's like, no, you're mine. I want you here. This is your home. It's comfy. Stay here. We're good. We're a good team. Me, you, and Philly. Me, you, and BB. Synagogue of Satan. We're all on the same side. Stay here.
She has lost her sobriety the very moment she gave herself to ungodliness, and she gave herself to the idea of ungodly thoughts. And unfortunately, what that has turned her into an enemy of God. I want to say this because I want to make myself very, very clear. Genesis tells us that God would bless those that bless Israel and curse those that curse Israel. And I want you to learn from this example. I want you to see from what you're seeing and what you're reading how important it is to bless Israel. How important it is to seek the truth. Folks, everything that Candace Owens is doing right here comes from the fact that she has made a very, very concerted effort to walk away from the truth. And that is what has destroyed her. We have to think about this differently, folks. We have to look at this in a completely different way. And I'm going to implore you to do a few things. Number one, I want you to pray for Candace Owens. I want you.
So gross after you just spend all that time attacking her. Great. Let's go here. Let's listen to this. Let's take a listen here. Let me make sure I'm on the right spot.
Yeah. Let's listen to this.
Of the cedar that they observe, none of that is in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, there was unleavened bread and there was wine and bitter herbs, and then the sacrifice itself. So
where an animal would be killed.
Yes, for the purposes of atonement. In the Passover, their Passover version, between the third and the fourth cup, they drink to the damnation of the nations, and in particular to Rome.
Okay, so what he's spelling out right now is the modern religion of Judaism is not the one in the Bible. God instituted the Jewish religion to not survive without him and the temple. They have to have the temple, which is God's dwelling place on earth, God with us, okay? The Holy of Holies. It is literally the center of the universe to the Jewish people because it is where God resides with his people, God with us. And that's why it was a foreshadowing of Christ, God with us, Christ with us. Without the temple, they had to completely recreate their religion, okay? And so like the Passover that they have been practicing ever since the destruction of the temple, it's not the same one. And he's talking about the different cups that they do. And then on the third cup, it is that they drink and toast to the damnation and destruction of the nations, all the Goyim nations, everyone but them, especially specifically the West and Rome, which is us. And we know Bibi said it himself. America is the new Rome. We are Rome. And he read a book to not how Philly could not be destroyed by Rome ever again. And then he says, America is Rome. And you wonder why Jews are anti-Catholicism and why Catholicism is anti-Zionism. It's a pretty deep history there. All right.
Who they associate with Christianity.
Presently?
Yep. Presently. So whenever Mike Huckabee says, Happy Passover, it's a very common thing for dispensationalists to wish Happy Passover for, their Jewish friends. They don't realize what they're saying. They're not observing the ritual that God gave Moses. Nope. They're observing the ritual that the rabbis made up in the centuries following Jesus.
Yep.
The third and fourth cup, they take a drink and they pray a prayer specifically for the destruction of the nations, the Goyim.
Us.
And in particular, Rome.
Us.
And in Jewish and rabbinical writings, they associate Rome with Christianity because Rome became Christianized, and that's the association that you see together in rabbinic literature. One of the prayers that Jews pray 3 times a day prays for the destruction of their enemies. This isn't rabbinic Judaism is not Christianity minus Jesus.
No.
That's what Christians need to understand.
Yes. Right.
It is a completely different faith from what you see in the pages of your Old Testament.
Because that faith required the presence of a temple where God lived.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. It's in the architecture of the religion. God designed it so that it could not endure without the temple. That's why God is always promising the Jewish people in the pages of the Old Testament that if they misbehave, he will have the land vomit them out. He will bring them into exile. He will wipe the land free of them. And he created a religion that would be temporary. It all revolves around the temple. And they weren't free to change that religion either. And so I'll give you an example. There's a story in the Old Testament of 2 guys that were left behind to essentially guard the altar as Moses and the elders go up on the mountain. Their names were Nadab and Abihu. They took their own light and decided to light the altar with their own fire. King James calls it strange fire because it wasn't native to the altar. It was their own light. They used their own Zippo, in other words. And God destroyed them. He killed them. Those two guys, the ground swallowed them up and ate them, destroyed them in fire, because the faith of the Old Testament was given, the cultic religion, to Israel very specifically. It had to be observed a very specific way, through the specific means that God gave. They weren't supposed to deviate at all. It's like the guy that reached out to grab the Holy of Holies before it hit the ground, and God killed. Well, God didn't tell him to touch it. He told him not to touch it. Follow God's rules is the point. It's a very precise religion because everything is designed to point to Jesus in a very specific, way. And so the Passover religion that or rather the Passover rite that they're observing, and in fact, most of rabbinic Judaism is way more deviated from the Old Testament than just what Zippo was used to light the altar.
And yet we have, James Kaddis, right? Swearing that we and Charlie and Candace and all of us, in order to be good Christians, have to support the government and political structure of Philly. Well, the religious group itself isn't even the one of the Old Testament. They've completely gone their own way because until God himself, they're becoming God. Okay. When they found a way to purchase Philly for themselves, God didn't do that. These weren't, good practicing Jews that did that. The Rothschilds, okay? The Balfour Declaration. They wanted to buy Uganda and Argentina. They didn't care if it was actually the homeland. It just ended up being. It worked out. Good for them, okay? God has to be the one to bring the people back, and he has to be the one to rebuild the temple. They're finding a way around everything. That is one of the biggest things within scriptures when we place ourselves above God, when we try to become God ourselves. Okay. And we're supposed to be supporting these people that are doing that very thing, and that thing is supposedly backed up by scripture. And then you're not a good Christian if you don't do it. That's what Charlie was running up against. All these pastors repeating that. It's nuts, man. These guys are nasty.
At least to the best of his ability and to what he believes. He doesn't accept Jesus as his Messiah. But the one thing that I can tell you is that God is using him to do great things, and we need to pray for him. We need to pray for PragerU. We need to pray for the people that are in the organization of Prager. And I would also simply say this. You've got to keep your mind and your heart focused on what's true and what's real. I want to close with one final thought because I think it's important. You're going to see a video of me appear very, very soon that I did not put out. You're going to see a video of me that was put out by Prager University. I was approached by the CEO of Prager, an absolutely wonderful woman, about 6 months ago, who thought that my story was pretty extraordinary, and she thought that it would be important for.
Oh my gosh, I got to find the place where I don't know if I could find it right now, but he has Charlie at his church, and he has a former IDF general in the audience, and they're like this, okay? This IDF general and James Kaddis. And he's like, Charlie, you got to meet him. I got to introduce you. You got to get connected with this guy. That's who these people are. Okay. It's just, it's nuts what these people were doing to Charlie, what they did to Candace. It's crazy. Let's see. Well, that clip is really that video of, okay, let's go back here and let's have Tucker finish his statement with that kid. And then if you guys have any, I think I got to all the super chats, right? I did. All right. If you guys have any more, get them in and I'll get to them before we end.
And no one will answer the question. Shut up, anti-Semite. How's that? It's nothing to do with that. This is my friend gets murdered. And here's a U.S. official saying that our main domestic law enforcement agency didn't follow up on all leads. So is that part of a conspiracy? I have no idea, but it's negligent at best. And I'm just amazed by, maybe I shouldn't be amazed, but it's like people just square off into their camps. You see this in our politics too. So-and-so's he's a liberal, he's a Democrat. We got to hate him. Well, okay. I'm against liberals. I've never voted Democrat, never will. I don't think, but maybe he's saying something true. Maybe we should just assess what people say on the basis of whether it seems right or not. And if they raise a valid question, let's get an answer to it. And this has immediately devolved into this like, fight between two people. Well, okay, it's bigger than that. I mean, I literally had someone text me who I know very well, scolding me, like yelling at me in a text, like, you said something nice about Candace Owens. Well, I love Candace Owens. She's like a friend of mine. I haven't followed all of this. Like, I have no idea, right? I don't know the details. And I'm not going to be scolded into following it. I don't want to. It's upsetting to me. I don't want to. I just want someone. But anyway, the point is, like, I'm not allowed to be friends with Candace Owens because you just, like, what is this?
Gross is what.
It's like cultural revolution stuff. I'm not playing along with it at all.
Neither was Charlie.
I like Candace Owens a lot. And I've always liked Erika Kirk. Sorry. And I feel sorry for Erika Kirk. I don't like the fact that TPUSA didn't do more to resist the Iran war, which is insane and terrible for this country.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they didn't defend Massey.
Yeah.
And I don't think the FBI is doing an adequate job investigating this murder. Those are the things that I believe. And maybe they contradict each other. I don't know, but that's what I think.
Hopefully, Tucker will continue to keep an open mind, keep his ears open, listen to Candace, listen to other people, maybe Dave Smith, and maybe we'll continue to see his position on Erika and TPUSA evolve. We'll see. Hold on. I got a really good clip of Charlie. Let me pull it up. All right. And then if you guys haven't done so already, please do me a favor and just hit the like and the subscribe. It is the best way to help support this channel. It's the best and free way. Also, once the video is done, if you just leave a comment under the video once it's posted, and then you can hype the video for free. Those are free ways to help support the channel. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Let me go here.
Again, I didn't do this in the first service, so this is unique. I'm now going to all of a sudden show you right now 10 ways that Satan corrupts our language, 10 ways that Satan, phrases that we hear, that we tolerate, of how Satan is able to come straight into our everyday conversations. 10 ways. Number one, how often have you heard this? What I do doesn't really matter. What I do doesn't make any sort of impact. It doesn't matter how I eat. It doesn't matter who I associate with. This idea that your actions and your agency have no application to what you do, Satan loves that. In fact, this is a saying that's quoted a lot, but it's worth quoting again, is that Satan's greatest trick is convincing you he does not exist. He would love to have people believe that it's nothing more than a figment of your imagination. Number two, how often do you hear this? Who cares? Who cares? God cares. Satan wants you to say, who cares? Whatever, who cares? Who cares whether or not, you save yourself for marriage? Who cares? Like, it's not a big deal. Well, all of a sudden, if you're asking who cares, you're basically saying there's no divine. There's no one in charge. Basically, through your language are two-liners right there. Who cares? Well, what a wonderful corruption or incredible corruption of language that Satan was able to do. Number three, what difference does it make? We heard that most famously with Hillary Clinton, who was testifying in front of Congress with the 4 dead Americans in Benghazi. What difference does it make that 4 people? What's the big deal, honestly? Human life being lost? It's only 1 million abortions a year. Do you all of a sudden see how moral relativism becomes more acceptable with the language? Number 4, we're all dead in the long run. It's not like we live forever. Well, we actually do live forever as Christians. But how often do you hear, we're all dead in the long run? Your actions doesn't really mean anything. You're just a bunch of cells. It doesn't apply for you today. Number 5, which is my favorite. I'll spend a little bit of time here. Well, you see, Charlie, it's my truth. And I don't care about what you have to say. This is my truth. Now, I hear this all the time on college campuses. And I always chuckle when these people come up and they say, Charlie, you don't know what it's like to be judged by the color of your skin as a white male. So you just judged me by the color of my skin. Like literally in that one statement, you said, I don't know what it's like, which is therefore judgment. Anyway, the point is that this idea of my truth is everything the devil wants us to believe in. The devil said, I will 5 times in Isaiah. I will become the head of the earth. I will become the one on most high. I will govern all territory. I will. When you start to say, I have my truth, all of a sudden you say that everyone can have their own direction to be able to govern their life. How often do we hear that? Well, my truth is that I believe that there's no such thing as man versus woman. That does not make it true, though. Your own personal opinion is completely irrelevant to what is true in the world. And we as Christians have tolerated this my truth nonsense for way too long. Now, number 6, this is a hard one for Christians. I'm not going to spend this much time on it, but it's, if I'm forgiven, then why don't I just sin? A lot of young people say this to me. They say, well, Charlie, I'm forgiven. So if I sin, I could just go kind of use my get out of jail free pass later and just like put it in. That right there makes me question whether you really understand or realize your salvation. This is.
Yeah, I can't play it too long with that. It's almost 3 minutes straight. I can continue play it in a second. Watching Charlie, he was just like one of a kind, you know? And I think that's what he was, a national treasure for sure. And I think he impacted a lot of people in different ways, but I think the common denominator is that he impacted a lot of people. And it's so sad that we live in such a world where someone like that could be treated, spoken about the way that he was, lied about. And then all the people that claimed to be his friends and closest to him took advantage of him, used him, abused him, manipulated him, put pressure on him, tried to force him into their box, tried to make them say their truth. And Charlie was like, no, I'm just going to tell the truth. There is no your truth or my truth. There's just the truth. And if it hurts, get a helmet, as Candace said, you know? Yep. It's like the word came and it's like a sword and it comes to divide. It'll put brother against brother. But you can't water it down. And that's what like these Calvary Chapel pastors and, you know, Mike Huckabee and Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, who all claim to be Christians and telling us what the Old Testament says that Christians are supposed to do. He said no. Candace said it well with Dave Smith. He genuinely believed that it was our Christian, and Candace said she believed it too, that it was our Christian American conservative right to defend and promote Philly. And then we all learned that it wasn't, and that we were all fooled. And we all woke up, and we all were waking up together as Charlie was waking up. He just was outspoken and had the biggest audience, influence, and reach. And they couldn't allow someone like that to do that. And then us watching him be murdered woke us up even more. And then everything that TPUSA and Erika Kirk has done since his assassination has woke us up even more. What the government has done, what Trump and JD Vance, what Bibi has done has woke us up even more. And we're never going back to that. There's no pre-9/11 anymore. There's no pre-Charlie Kirk assassination anymore. You know, we will remember Charlie Kirk's assassination as we did with 9/11. It's a demarcation line. We remember what life was like and what the country was like before. Same thing with COVID. What it was like before, and then it's like everything after that. It'll never be the same. And a lot of these people are trying to get us to go back into the before Charlie Kirk assassination time. You just can't. And they're trying to force us. They're trying to lie to us, manipulate us, blackmail us. You just can't. Threaten us. Propagandize us. You just can't. I refuse. So I think that's a good stopping point for tonight. Thank you guys so much for another great episode. If you guys haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe. And then if you guys would like to donate but don't want to give money through YouTube, that's fine. And you don't have to donate. I'm just giving this option out there for people that do. You could donate money through the Black Line Brief Venmo account, or you can do it through buymeacoffee.com/the Black Line Brief. Just when you do either one of those, just make sure to write in the note or the memo like what you would like your support and donation to go to. Okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone that shows up every day and watches and is just here. And that's enough for me. Just hit the like, hit the subscribe, write a comment in the video underneath the video after, and hype for free. Those are the best ways to support a channel. Okay. Thank you guys so much for another good night. And I love you guys. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. God bless.